Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tysean Jackson, in here with my co-host, Ryan Ketchens. And we are in here with the lovely Jennifer Arnise, and we are talking the wounds you got from your mama. Let's get it. Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tysean Jackson, my co-host, Ryan Ketchens.
I can already tell, man, it's going to be a powerful one right here.
You need to watch too.
I discovered porn when I was a child. My mom.
To get that white man's ashe out of him. Pursued me, I ran.
I want don't care.
This is dope.
You need to have a threesome. There you go.
Welcome, fam. It is that time. We are here. We are live.
Facts.
And this one is going to be a little heavy, y'all. Because when I found you, you know, we do a lot of searching and digging for really great talent all over the internet. And so if y'all know somebody, feel free to send them to info@hardlyinitiated, right? They got to be tried and true. But we're always looking for people who could really give our people this level of transformation in somewhere we know they're struggling. And we struggling with our mamas.
That's word on the street.
Sir.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Both the fellas and the ladies.
Yeah, absolutely.
We struggling with our mamas.
Yeah.
And I am very, very excited to go deep on this conversation because we've talked about it here and there, but this is a relationship that impacts every relationship that follows. And a lot of us, you know, we want these romantic relationships to work well, but we got this stuff in the way. You know what I'm saying? We got this stuff we ain't really dealt with. So we're going to get into it here today. So we're very blessed to have you. In fact, just so I can give y'all some detail to what's happening here, Jennifer Arnise is a spiritual coach, mentor, and intuitive healer. I love that word, intuitive healer.
Why you like that?
It just sounds deep. It sounds like y'all might need to get your Kleenex this episode because we're going to go there. But essentially, you help people deal with the painful relationship with their mothers so they can have healthy relationships themselves.
Yes.
And very excited to have you here. So welcome to Hardly Initiated, I would actually say. And I want to actually go ahead and get to my episode sponsor here. So Ryan, let the people know what's popping off.
So guys, shout out to Hardly in Love Dating Cars, guys. Listen, so I want you to roll, Lana, go ahead and roll those photos because we've been getting a lot of photos from y'all and a lot of emails talking about these dating cars. Now, one story in particular I thought was really good because we actually ran into a young lady. I won't say her name. She told me she wanted us to keep it on the low. But ran into her at one of our favorite coffee shops because we're always putting in work for the platform.
Always.
Now, the thing is, she had the cards on her, and she was telling us that, you know, she had left them in the purse because she had went out on a date, you know, a few days before. She just left them in the purse. But anyway, the story was she goes out on a date, the first time she goes out with this guy, and she was a little apprehensive about going out with the guy, but she ended up doing it anyway because she had one of her friends kind of over her shoulder like, hey, you know, you're always hard on these guys, give this guy a chance. So she's on a date, you know, she's trying to have a good time, and she had the idea to pull out the cards. Now, they go through one question, and it was okay, right? They're sharing. And then, this is really crazy. I'm glad, you came to the show today because one of our questions is, what is your describe your relationship with your parents? And she says that the guy just completely shut down. Like, didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to share about it. And to be honest, it sound kind of emotionally unstable to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But after that, he pretty much shut down for the entire date. So it went from shutting down from the conversation to the entire date. And what I told her was the cards did the right thing.
The cards do the work. Yeah.
They work.
Yeah, I believe in cards, so I know y'all gonna let me get some of these.
Yeah,
that's
of course.
yours.
That was yours.
That's yours.
That was yours.
Awesome. Yeah.
They really work because now, right? Because sometimes you get people to share, and other times you see how they really react.
You see how people won't share because
Exactly.
I like dating cards. So if someone is not open to like having conversations, or you get that sense, that to me tells me, we don't need to talk.
It's a wrap.
Yeah,
it's a wrap.
Bueno.
Yeah.
No bueno.
Absolutely.
Now, unfortunately, we asked her if she did a follow-up date. She did try it again, but it was some of the same themes that was coming up with him just not being open to sharing certain things.
Well, he probably was triggered. And if you have a pain that you haven't processed, it's very difficult to speak about it to someone you don't know.
Right.
Because you already don't feel safe. right? So I guess if you and you can answer. This is the thing about dating cards. People think you got to go deep. You don't always have to go deep. You could
Right.
just answer and say, it's challenging.
Yeah.
And as we get to know each other, I can share some more, or I'm working through it, or things like that. But if you haven't done any of the work, it's raw.
You're going to get triggered.
You're gonna get triggered. So it's very raw. So you can't answer it in a more kind of, I don't want to say political way, but you don't know how to really manage your emotions in that moment and how to express them in a way where you can start in a layered conversation with somebody.
Shout out to the dating cards doing the job.
Doing the job. Because this guy
Absolutely.
said, he was pretty much acting like he was ambushed, and he just kind of shut it down. But that's what I told her, like I'm going to tell y'all, whether you get somebody to share or you don't get them to share, the cards will still do the job, guys. So look, click the link in the bio and get yours today. I'm going to drop that in the link in the description now. But I'm glad you can testify to the cards being effective.
Oh yeah, because I've had guys shut down with the. With
Oh, you
me
actually
asking-
had that exact same thing?
I have cards. Oh, I bring cards. Oh, we're pulling cards out. We're gonna talk.
Ooh.
Oh, and they'll. I've had men tell me, the cards cause problems, or you're looking for problems when you pull the cards out. The conversation should be organic. You shouldn't have to ask these questions. Why do you want to ask these questions? And it's like almost trying to gaslight you, like you're crazy.
Wow.
For having the cards out. Oh, absolutely. And then I've had guys that love them, and it's like we might just be having a phone conversation. If we've been talking a while, we don't have anything new, and they're like, pull the cards out. Let's pull some cards. We might pull cards over the phone, and just,
Wow.
Open up the conversation. So
I love that.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Way to
dope.
bring some creative energy to that thing.
We're going to have to get
Absolutely.
that app coming out next then.
Oh.
Need the Hardly in Love app.
Oh, I like
that would
it.
be good because
Yeah.
then if two people can log in, you can kind of pull a card. Each
Exactly.
person can pull on their end.
So,
yeah.
I want to go into this now because your name on Instagram, I love it. The Mother Wound.
Black mother wound.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Black Mother Wound.
Yeah, black mother wound.
Okay. And I want to get into this because I want people to understand what even a mother wound is, because we had a great conversation talking about it before the show. So this is going to be, it's very important for you to understand this terminology as we go deep. So let's start here. Can you help the audience understand what exactly is a mother wound?
A mother wound is a generational wound passed from the mother to her daughter. And the wound is rooted in a woman's lack of autonomy, her lack of agency, her lack of personal authority over herself, whether her mind, her body, her money, where she lives, where she works, things of that nature. And so what happens is you have someone who doesn't have authority over their own life, but then they have a child, and then they're automatically the absolute authority and have autonomy over this child. That creates an issue because you're like, if I'm not allowed to take care of myself, how can I take care of a child? There's a conflict there. And then when you have a daughter, and everybody should have agency and autonomy as a human being. So if you have been denied autonomy, that's a trauma, right? It's probably a generational trauma that you've seen.
And when you say denied autonomy,
Right.
you're saying that you're denied the ability to make decisions for yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to think about, like this is 2024, but you have to think 1960s. Think about a woman's rights. If she gets married and she's unhappy in the marriage, if she leaves the marriage, what happens to her social standing? What if she doesn't have an income of her own, she can't leave the marriage? So she doesn't have autonomy. She doesn't make the rules in her house. She may have a man who is abusive. She can't leave for various reasons. She might have a lot of kids. She might not have money. It might be frowned upon in her church and in her community. She lacks autonomy. She has to give up her sense of agency for survival.
Now, would that include, let's say, a woman who's a single mother who has to spend the majority of her time, or really all of her time, taking care of the kids? Is she included in that woman that doesn't have autonomy because she has to spend the time taking care of the kid?
Well, her lack of autonomy starts in her childhood.
Got you.
It doesn't start when she's an adult. It starts when they say, you being fast, when actually you're just a curious little girl. It starts when you might be 11 or 12 and your body develops and it's shapely, and they telling you, go sit down somewhere with your fast self. And you haven't done anything wrong, right? They're saying like, oh, you should value being pretty. Like, you need to be pretty so a man will like you, when she might want to be a scientist. From those early stages, she is not seen as an individual. She's seen as a potential commodity. And someone else is assigning her value. So by the time she becomes an adult, how she sees herself, how she sees the world is already established.
And how does the mother in particular have an effect on this wound? How does the mom in particular have an effect on or impact on that woman?
Because the mother or the female caregiver is the primary caregiver. She is the one who spends the most time with the child. She's the one who establishes, do your needs get met or not? Are your emotions important? Is what you think valid? And if your sense of self is established by the time you're 6 years old. It's not established as a teenager or in your 20s. So from birth to 6 years old, and a child learns that they are safe between birth and 3 years old. So if you are with someone and first of all, the mother has a wound herself. She's not able to be emotionally present for a number of reasons. By the time she's a single mother and she doesn't have time, the wound has already been established, because you can be a single mother and still be loving.
Okay, so if the mother is not emotionally present, that also
that is the
takes
core.
away from
that is the core of it, not being emotionally present.
Oh.
Yeah, because you could be a stay-at-home mother and still not be emotionally present.
See, I understand that, because I see, we speak to so many different types of people. And of course, because we had so many experts like yourself come on the show, sometimes I'm like diagnosing people,
Right.
And,
we all do it.
Right. We all do it. Right. And one of, I guess, the common archetypes I see from the mother-daughter relationship is the daughter who didn't get that emotional support. Right. And she's like, Mom, you weren't there for me. And the mother who's like, what do you mean I wasn't there for you? I paid the bills.
Right.
I paid for all of your activities. And what do you expect me to do? Because your pops wasn't around, or your pops was in the house, but I had to be the disciplinarian.
Right.
I had to take on this masculine role. So it's like, you wanted me to pay the bills, or you want me to cry, to cry with you?
Right. And that's when I say two things can be true. But the root of it is not, I was busy, so therefore I couldn't give you those things. You have to think about emotional technology, right? We're in a phase where we have access to so much information, where we can learn about our emotions and depression and anxiety and how things make us feel. If you think about a black woman born in the 60s or 70s, when a lot of our parents were born, my mother was born in the 40s. Her mother was born in 1919. There was not even a vocabulary for emotions. So imagine a pager versus a iPhone 15.
Right.
The capacity is not even there. So if you don't have something, you don't know that you didn't do it because it was never there, and no one ever gave it to you. And that's why when we talked earlier, I talked about how black parenting is established through slavery, through colonialization, how it is about survival. Black parenting is parenting survival. I'm gonna beat your ass now, so nobody beat your ass later. It is like we are intrinsically in danger. And so, and no one's more in danger than a black woman, because you don't have the physical capability to defend yourself, and you're seen as less valuable in the workplace. So you really have no value. And so I've got to beat this into you, because you either gonna be nothing or you're gonna be a hoe. And we don't want either of those things.
Right.
So there's really no space for you to be creative, for you to be funny, for you to be shy, for you to be introspective. It's like, what is the path for survival? And I think right now, this conversation is so explosive because we're in a generational shift. Like I said, my mother was born 20 years before the March on Washington. So she was already an adult growing up in a space where you didn't have autonomy. And then you have a daughter born in the 70s where I got Whitney Houston, I got college, I can be anything. And there's this disconnect, because it's like, how do I even raise her? How do I have authority over this person when they came in knowing more than I could ever know?
Wow. Have you ever seen a woman, particularly with the mother wound, and still maintain a healthy relationship with her mother, or is it, or if she has the mother wound, then the mother-daughter relationship is always fractured?
I think the mother wound it's a spectrum.
Gotcha.
It's not black and white. So you can have extreme levels where you have someone who's been wildly abusive, or they may have just completely abandoned you, right? And then you can have one where you talk to your mother every day. You love her, you have fun, y'all do things, but the choices and decisions that you make are impacted by whether she approves of you or not. And if you are making decisions based on that approval or feeling responsible for the emotions of your mother, that's where the wound is, because now you don't have autonomy. You don't have agency to make decisions that are solely best for you. It is, I have to make decisions that have a positive impact on my mother, or she sees me in a certain way. And so there's and it happens so soon, it's happening your whole life. So oftentimes this becomes normalized. You just think that's what being a good daughter is, and you want to be a good daughter. So of course I'm going to take these things into consideration. And you might quietly question, you know, I would like to do something else, but that sense of duty prohibits that. So yeah, mother wound can be still in that space, but it just might not be completely, you know, in a fractured relationship.
That makes sense.
I want the audience to really see themselves in this, and you gave a couple examples of what it might sound like, what these mothers might say to give you some of these wounds, and we don't know because it's just our childhood.
Right.
And I gave you one growing up. I'm in the living room, I'm relaxing. Young lady I'm dating kind of walks in, and I'm relaxing. I'm just really chilling. It's been a long week. I'm chilling. I'm doing nothing. She kind of walks in, and I kind of jump a little bit and kind of look at her. And I thought about it, and I remember as a kid, you really couldn't just like relax and be doing nothing.
Time to lean, time to clean.
Yeah.
Like you would like kind of find something to do when your mom came around.
You can
because
never
like you
sit on
just
the
if you just sitting down doing nothing.
You always on the couch.
Oh man.
You always watching TV.
You always doing this.
Always eating a bowl of food.
Get your ass up, and I need you to be doing XYZ.
Exactly.
And I had to think back. She was like, "No, you okay? What, like, what's going on?" And I'm like, I don't know. And I sat back, and I actually came back 30 minutes later when I reflected on it. I said, Dad, I think this is why I did that.
Yeah.
I think that was like a reaction to like growing up. I always had to look or feel busy.
Right. I have been guilty of that with my son. I've had to, when he comes in the door, I used to be like, did you do this? Did you do that? You know you left some dishes in the sink. I'm like, oh, how about hello? How's everything going? Wow. And I didn't even realize how much I was doing it until he was like, can we just say hello first? Can we say hello?
That took a lot for him too,
right.
I'm sure.
Right.
No, not him, because we have a real
Okay.
open way of conversing. So he was just like, I was like, oh, like imagine, I don't like it when as soon as he sees me, he asks me for something.
Right.
You know, it's like you're trying to take something from me, and almost like I don't trust you. If I don't tell you this, then you're not gonna do A, B, C, and D, even though you know what you have to do.
So going back to it, what are some of those other things that you frequently know that mothers do that cause some of those wounds? I kind of wanted to go back to it so the audience can get a good visual or even audio to what some of those things that they heard
that
growing
just
up.
agitate them too.
Well, I think it starts with one thing that comes to mind, and I say this specifically with, and while this can happen to other races, but I think about black women and their mothers, this concept that you have to be good all the time at everything. You can't make a mistake. Your grades have to be on point. The way your clothes are have to be on point. When people see you, you have to be polite. Everything has to be perfect. And if it's not, there's hell to pay. You know, whether you're going to be punished. For me, I grew up in a very religious household. You're going to hell. Like there was no in between of doing something the very first time, getting it wrong, learning, getting a little better, and mastering it. It's like, oh no, this has to be on point right now. That creates a lot of anxiety in a person.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's how my mom was coming up.
Yeah. And it comes because they came from a space where there was an external punishment. If it wasn't done correctly, something really was going to pop off. And you don't realize that danger doesn't exist anymore. So this perfectionism, this you have to, you always have to look good. You always have to be, and for some people, their mothers might say, you know, your number one goal is to get a husband. So you need to present yourself a certain way. Your hair, what's wrong with your hair? What's wrong with your body? You gaining weight? All, you know, constantly criticizing how someone looks, talking about their complexion, talking about their skin, things of that nature. Or it might be, if you have someone who is a mother who's really religious, it's like, why you dress like that? You need to cover your body up. What you wearing? All these types of things. So you then become self-conscious about your body. So you're self-conscious about your body. You think everything has to be perfect, and you have to always be giving to others. You have to be always showing up for somebody else. You have to be of service to someone, because you really don't have value if you're not of service, because you need to be always showing that you are a good person.
You know what's crazy? Because, you know, I mean, some of those things, of course, I've never experienced. You know, my mother speaking to me like that. That's, you know, I'm not a woman. But I have experienced, you know, being in different households, whether it's friends or, you know, my sister, where you kind of hear those kind of conversations.
Right.
And I have completely normalized that. I just assume this is just how women are. Like, they do stuff they say stuff to each other like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's no such thing as how women are. That's like saying how black people are.
Right.
We're not
right.
a monolith.
Right.
That's so true. You know, it's kind of crazy too, because I just noticed too with women, from the women in my family, from the women that I've dated, I just feel like a mother and a daughter just got a way better relationship when they don't live together. And that's kind of sad to say that.
Say that again?
But a mother and daughter typically have a way better relationship when they don't live together.
Yes.
That's just what I see.
Well, you have to think about, that goes back to what I'm saying. Who has the authority? Whoever pays the bills has the authority, right? So if I don't live under your house, I now have my own authority. Now I'm no longer a child. I'm an adult now. But if I'm under your roof and you take care of me, I'm a child, which means you get to tell me what to do, which means there's going to be a power struggle that's going on. And oftentimes the mother doesn't know how to relinquish the authority because of her fear of how the daughter will turn out. And that fear is rooted in what has happened to her. But the mother never really discusses what happened in her life when she was a teenager, when she was in her 20s, before she was born. She just holds it all inside because she's filled with shame. So she thinks, I'm just gonna, if I can get my daughter to make different choices than I made, then she'll be safe. And it's very black and white.
That makes sense. But what ended up happening, you know, sometimes
you create the monster.
Yes.
Because that's what happened with me. You instead of just having the conversation, because I wasn't even into boys, or I went to church, I went to work, I was an honor roll student. But when you have somebody that makes you feel like, what you doing? You're guilty of something. You're like, well, I'm already on punishment for something you think I did. Let me go ahead and go do it. And that creates...
Then you end up living with your mama again.
Right.
Because of the decisions you made.
And it's even worse that time.
Oh, my gosh.
Because now she likes, last time you did this, you see? I told you, should have blah, say blah. First of all, the chat is going crazy. This another one. The chat is going...
What's another one?
Oh, you think you cute.
You think you're cute.
Wow.
You think you so cute because you got a butt now.
Right.
You think you cute. First of all, should you not think you beautiful?
Wow.
Yo, chat. First of all, keep it coming, chat. I want the chat to keep rolling. What's the toxic things your mama said? I want to keep seeing in the chat, but that's a good one.
Yeah, because that
It's
goes
crazy.
back to the looks. Because what is happening is a woman's body is seen as the weapon. It's not the man's fault. It's the woman's fault. So you're the one out here looking a certain way, which gonna make men come on to you, and then next thing you know, you're gonna be pregnant. Like that's how short the line is of the logic.
Oh, my God.
So
That's so
That's
true.
just so true.
Yeah.
right, but it's not accurate. But then now you've made this person your enemy. Now you've made your daughter your enemy in your household. So now if somebody does say something to her, she's not going to come and talk to you about it because she sees her mother as her adversary. And you see your daughter as an adversary because you knew what happened to you and you blame yourself. You're saying, oh, what happened to me? You know, that's because somebody told me it was because of the way I looked. Somebody told me it was the way my body was shaped, because of the way I was dressed. So I need to make sure that doesn't happen to her. But all of the information that's being passed down is faulty. So you're just implementing faulty premises continually on a generational basis. And it really does start with how we see women in our culture. Do we see them as a full person? Or do we see them, like I said, as a commodity, as a weapon, and even as a burden?
You know what?
That's just so toxic.
I got a poll we got to drop here
Yeah.
because they're giving me ideas in this chat.
What you
I
got?
want to know, because this is big too, and this goes into my next question. How many women feel as though their mother was jealous of them? I want to know that. I want to know the poll in the chat, and I want y'all to keep it real. It's anonymous, but I really want to know this one. And while Ryan is cooking that chat up, I want to ask this question, because I feel like I hear a lot of women, even women that say, or I've noticed that they had a strained relationship with their mothers, they may feel as though their brother got raised completely different.
Absolutely.
And the mother treated the son way different.
Yeah, I have a podcast episode on that.
So I want to talk about that.
I'm gonna have to show me that.
Because do mothers
I don't believe that.
typically have a tendency to raise their sons better than they would raise their daughters?
Well, people in general raise daughters different than sons, right? Even fathers. Fathers raise their daughters differently than they raise their sons generally, right? When you have a woman, a mother who has a mother wound and she has a lot of trauma, she sees her daughter as her reflection, the reflection of her pain, right? So that's triggering. She sees her son as the reflection of her hope, of the possibility of being loved.
Wow.
Right?
Right.
And also how you see men and women are different when you see boys. You're like, oh, you know, a girl is intrinsically guilty. So we got to keep a strain on. We got to keep a tight hold on her. Where a boy is a boy. The expectation is already so low.
He gonna go out there and do some crazy stuff,
It's beneath him. He can't wash dishes. He can't keep his room clean. He can't come home on time. He's a boy. You know, like, just let him go. And that really creates so when you say raising a boy better, he's not raised better, actually. Because everybody needs parameters, everybody needs boundaries, and everybody needs structure, and everybody needs accountability. But the accountability is hyper-focused on the daughter, and the accountability is super lax on the boy.
And this is typically from the mom.
This is, I think, it really does depend, because my father had a kind of like an egalitarian way with us. Like, everybody cut grass, everybody cooked.
Right.
You know, so everybody shot the gun, everybody fought. Like,
Right.
so I don't know necessarily how men are. With
But
that,
in particular, you're
parenting.
saying the mom.
With mother, yeah, yeah. And there are a lot of women go through that where it's like the relationship with the boy is different. She's able to be loving toward the boy because she doesn't see her own pain reflected back into her.
Wow. You know what?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and drop this poll here, by the way.
So check this out, guys. I just dropped a poll. Women, do you feel your mother was jealous of you? And right now we got 144 votes going on 200, and 45% of people are saying yes right now.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's a high number. And what I want
I
to
would have never even thought as
Yeah.
a guy.
That's
I
low.
would never even.
Yeah, I
thought
thought it was going to be more like 75% yes.
Okay.
Because you
The
have
vote's
to
still
really,
coming in.
Yeah, you have to understand what does jealousy look like?
That's what I was just getting ready to ask you. What does jealousy look like?
Guys,
before you answer that,
before we go into it, guys, I want to let y'all know the beauty of it is not only is Jennifer coming over here giving us this incredible game, we're going to go ahead and give away 5 books today. that Jennifer in here is taking care of us on. All right. So what I need y'all to do is Ryan is putting a link in the description. It's a free giveaway. Okay. So you just go right down in the link. Go right down in the link, and I want you to go ahead and sign up. Put your info in there, and we'll announce the winners at the end.
Yes, and guys, a couple of updates on those giveaways. We have sent all of them out. We are sending the giveaway for Stefan's episode and Nur Muhammad's episode tomorrow.
Yep.
And I know some of y'all are very upset with me about Tiffany Montgomery's package. We're going to make sure that is sent out tomorrow as well to make sure y'all taken care of.
Absolutely.
But we always deliver.
Always.
Might just be a little late. But no, we got y'all. We got y'all for real.
Absolutely, guys. So going back to it, while this is coming in, we were talking about jealousy. So what does that look like for a woman to have a jealous mom?
Well, my definition for jealousy is the fear of losing something you've never had, right? So it's very illogical. So jealousy can look like your daughter wants to move out and you don't want her to move out. And you're going to tell her it's going to be dangerous out there, you can't afford it, but really she's jealous that you have the courage to move out, that you can do it by yourself. She may have never been able to do that. She may have been married her whole life, and that's the only way she's been able to take care of herself, so she didn't have those choices. So it might look like someone's being overprotective, but it could be jealousy. And it's not even, from the mother's perspective, a conscious jealousy, but it is a sense of resentment.
Because you pretty much says you got more options than they have.
Because you have more options. And for many mothers, they say, you're the reason I don't have more options. I've been taking care of you. So I've now dug myself deeper in this hole of motherhood and whatever sacrifices I've had to make. And now here you are going to go off and leave me.
Wow.
You're going to leave me. So when you hear things like that, like you're leaving me, you're abandoning me, you're not going to call me, you hang out with your friends, you don't hang out with me anymore, you don't need me anymore. Those are covert ways to know that someone could be jealous of you.
I could totally see that. I could see a young girl, she's hanging out with her friends, especially around the college age.
Absolutely.
She's going and she's spending the night on people's house and stuff like that, and the mom is like, oh, so you just come back whenever you want to.
You just come back whenever you want to.
Right.
And you probably doing this or probably doing that, and none of those things are happening. Right, absolutely.
Wow.
So what I want to notice, because first of all, if a woman is jealous of you, I can imagine that this is not a woman that you can even go to for counsel. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a woman that I can trust to, give me the best advice and give me what's best for me. So when your mom is jealous, is that a woman you would even go to for counsel at?
I mean, there are a lot of nuances to that, because this is also the woman that you love more than anybody in the world. And even though she may not be completely trustworthy, she is the person that you trust. She has taught you everything. And
Do they though? They trust their moms?
You can trust someone even in a way where I want to say, like, subconsciously you trust them. Like, if I see you every day, there can be a trust established there. Yeah. And sometimes you might be right. Sometimes your mom is right.
It's very toxic.
It's challenging. Yeah. It's not a clean. That's what makes it so hard, because it's like a web. So you can be upset with her, and then want her approval so bad, and then say, well, what do you think about this? Well, this is what I was, because you really want to be close to her.
Right.
You want a closeness. So you do so much to get in her good graces, to stay in her good graces. It takes a lot to just cut your mother off. It takes a lot to say, I'm not fooling with you anymore. It is the most painful. You have to think about like an umbilical cord. You have like an energetic umbilical cord to your mother. That means that's how you get your nutrients. That is still how you are fed. It is all you know. So to come to a point and be like, I'm not dealing with this, especially if it's been normalized. If it's been normalized, you think, well, this is just how it's supposed to be. But it takes a lot to just say, I'm done, it's over. And the women who are answering in the poll, they know how hard it is to like cut a mother off. and
I
live
know
with
exactly what you mean. And that the way you describe that relationship, it looks like they completely despise each other, right? You might talk to one and she talking loud so the other one can know you on the phone, like you on the phone with grandson or you on the phone with son. You go, then I get home, they in the same room together, like one of them laying on the other one bed. But it's like y'all hate each other, but it's like y'all, but things happen like y'all are under each other. It's super weird.
They're enmeshed because they share one identity.
Yeah.
They are a part of each other. There's no autonomy. The mother has no autonomy. Her identity is clearly tied to the daughter. Now the daughter has no autonomy. Her identity is completely tied to the mother. So they are one. So how do you, even if it's not healthy, it is, and it's been that way. That's how her brain has been programmed that way from birth. So it's not as easy as to say, I'm not telling you about anything. Now you might not tell her everything, but you are going to come. There are going to come a point where you want to be close to her. Y'all fall into y'all might have having a good mood today. Mm-hmm. Y'all having a good conversation over breakfast, and you tell her something, and she tell y'all ha ha ha, and all of a sudden you're filled with hope, and you're like, oh, we had such a good.
Yeah.
That was so good.
My gosh.
And then you the next week you go back to that same well and you think the water is going to be there and it's dry.
And it's not.
And you like, oh, how could I have fallen for this?
And it's a cycle. It happens over and over
again.
again.
A cycle.
I had that kind of relationship with my stepdad.
Yeah. And it's your mother. So you only have one, which everybody tells you.
Yeah.
And everybody is telling you, don't treat your mother like that. And then if you have other family members who might enforce the mother's behavior and tell you you're wrong. So it's hard when you're in a tribe when you don't even have the support or anybody to validate your experience or give you different options.
Man, I remember I was dating this one young lady. It was so toxic. Oh my God.
Her
it
mother?
was so toxic. Yeah, everything. My relationship with her, her relationship with her mother, her relationship with her sister, because she kind of was the woman that got, I guess, casted out from the group because see, her and her mom and her sister were close.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But her and her mom, it was terrible. See, now she was daddy's girl.
That was
But,
me. I was the outsider.
That
and
makes
when I was
sense.
young, my father was really also the only person that advocated for me on my behalf because he was the only person that would speak up and say, how you
That ain't
treating her
right.
is not right.
See, now that's what she communicated as well. But the problem was her dad passed away. And she pretty much, from what she communicated, her mom was like one of those high anxiety moms where a small problem was a big problem.
Right.
If it was dishes in the sink, the
It's the
whole
end of the
house was
world.
chaos.
Yes.
It's judgment day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So especially if she didn't like you in particular,
Right.
you were already on her bad side. So literally, I remember being on the phone with this girl and hearing an argument. In the middle of the conversation, an argument pop off with her mom. Ma, F you. No. You ain't ish. I'm on the phone with a man right now. I'm on the phone with him. And the mom in the back like, he ain't gonna marry your ass.
No way.
It ain't like he gonna keep you. And I'm in my mind thinking, Mama, you right. I'm damn sure. I am damn sure. And
Because
I'd
of
marry
you.
her.
Because of you.
And I remember she would come back to the conversation like we about to continue it and talk about something different.
Because that was her normal life.
That really blew, because first of all, I've never cussed at my mom. Like, she was calling her mother cuss words.
And
Right.
then she came back to you to continue the conversation.
She literally would not even mute the phone, bro. Like, she would do this on the phone, on loud, and come back to me and try to pick up where we left off.
Incredible.
And I'm like, no. You just called your mom a B. Let's talk about this. What's going on here?
Right.
And the more I learned about her, which wasn't much after that, but the little bit I learned about her, many of her issues was tied to that. Do you see with women? Because like that's the thing about women in the house. It can get real cliquey when women like it's sisters and it's moms, and it's not really a masculine in the house. Because a man will be like, hey, look, I don't like what the hell's going on over here. No, this is wrong. That ain't wrong. But sometimes the women in the family could start clicking up. How do you deal with that?
I think that happens even if there's a man in the house. It doesn't matter because the man, he married that woman. So he's a part of the toxicity.
That's a fact.
So he can't be all above it all because that's the woman he committed his life to, and he knows who she is.
Wow.
And he has kind of given her the okay because he wants the benefit of her.
Right.
So he only can do so much. And that level of clickiness where some people are in or some people are out, that's also about the wound. Because what someone is basically saying is there's not enough to go around. There's not enough love to go around. There's not enough friendship to go around. There's not enough trust to go around. And the mother has felt that herself. Like, there's not enough. And I have to be nice to the person that can help me survive. Because mother is still in a survival mode. So she's going to pick the person who makes her feel the best, who makes her feel like she is special and she is valued. And then there may be someone else who makes her feel triggered because she might show her the reality of who she is, right? And it becomes that's when you talk about being emotionally immature. The mother, she might be 45 years old, but emotionally she's 12. So you've got a house full of kids. It's just somebody is older and she's kind of using the authority of I'm your mother, I'm grown, I pay the bills. But from an emotional standpoint, when it comes to building relationships, someone has to lose. And she's probably experienced that in her own life where she's lost. And so now she's up on the totem pole, the pecking order. And she said, I don't have to lose anymore, but you might. And this starts so early on. It could be, well, you're the daughter I had and I lost my body. You know, with this one right here, she never gave me any problems, but you always cried and my husband might like you more. All types of reasons, but they're all childish. They're all rooted in an emotional immaturity.
Let's close out that poll real quick because that one's still going. I want to hear this one.
Yeah, so I'm going to close out this poll, guys. And don't forget to complete the link so we can get you your giveaway, assuming you win that thing. So, women, do you feel your mother was jealous of you? Only 39% of women say yes. It's over 350 votes.
That's good.
So we got some good heeled women up in here.
Yeah, that's a good
I
thing.
mean, 40% still jealous.
Or some liars.
That's high. That's high.
Yeah.
That's still high.
That's really crazy.
To the mom, again, the first relationship you have, for her to be jealous of you.
Yeah.
Which we know what comes with that. That's still terrible because I think men, I don't think many of us will at all ever feel like our moms were jealous of us. We don't really have that as much.
And then
because you don't have the same things.
Right.
And you know
role
what?
Isn't the same.
And then grandma is usually lit. Like, because I'm assuming, you know, a lot of the guys that grow up with just single mom, the grandma is probably was single too, but she's around to aid and help out the situation. So even you have this level of reverence for your grandmother because grandma, know, has held it down for everybody for so long. So I can even imagine in that case, as a kid, you would probably even side with the grandma in the situation. Like,
most people will side with the maternal caretaker because she's the one who provides the most care.
Right.
You need to be loyal to her, and we create really an objectification of the woman who's a mother, right? So we have the black mother, and it's like, I hate to say this, but there's this. It's almost like she can do no wrong. And really, that's a disservice to her because it puts a pressure on her to be perfect, to be the perfect mother, to be the perfect wife, to do everything right. Instead of, we're all flawed, right? But there's so much shame that's rooted in that. But this concept of the grandmother, the matriarch, the mother, and so no one can speak ill of her, is usually because she's lost so much. So we think we're going to give back to her by letting her act poorly or not holding her accountable because she probably has lost a lot, for everybody else. She probably has sacrificed everything for everybody else, and that has created a debt type relationship. Wow. And you can't have a healthy relationship where there's a sense of debt, where somebody owes someone something. Because if I owe you money, I can't say shit. Even when you're wrong, I gotta eat it.
It's no justice. It's no justice.
There's no justice when you're indebted to someone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's actually a really, really good point. So check it out. First of all, I'm really excited because, guys, the initiation hotline is coming soon in just a few here. But before we actually get into that, I think it's important. We actually had a very, very important episode with Dr. Spirit that went all over the internet. And I want to play that for the people so they can hear it. But I also want to talk about this because I think this is all related and in the spider web of what we're talking about right now. Lionel, do we have that queued up? All right, let's go ahead and get it played.
Do you guys know the number one outcome or the number one indicator for how children grow up to thrive, whether or not they actually do?
I thought it was the daddy in the house.
Absolutely not.
What's
Believe
that?
it or not, it is the quality of their mother's happiness.
Wow.
Damn.
The quality of their mother's happiness is the number one indicator as to whether or not a child will grow up to thrive. Because if you have a depressed mother, if you have an anxious mother, if you have a mother with post-traumatic stress disorder who is having to disconnect from her own body, she cannot show up to nurture you. She cannot show up to support you. She cannot fully step into that space. And what she will teach you about being in relationships with other people, whether you can trust them, whether you can trust yourself, whether you can actually be committed and connected to somebody and know that they will reciprocate that to you in a healthy way. She teaches you that not through her words, but through her actions. And so what I will say to you, sis, is that you have to decide for yourself how you want your children not to just grow up in your house, but to grow up in this world, because you are teaching them that right now through how you are living your life and showing them how life is supposed to be in this roof with this man.
Incredible.
So that's that there actually went all over the internet.
know that clip.
And the funny thing is the internet was actually pissed off about that.
Yeah.
Because they were like, no, hell no, we know the daddy in the house is the most important thing to keep them kids out of prison. You got to have somebody discipline them children. And, you know, first of all, I understood what people saying because we ain't got that. That's a very triggering conversation when you telling the black community that the daddies in the house ain't important because all of us ain't have daddies. It's triggering. That was like, I just saw our trauma in the comment section.
Yes.
Right.
Of
debating which
I
one
went straight
worse.
to
Exactly.
the comments. Yes.
It was
absolutely.
just trauma all in the comment section. But the reality of the situation, I understood what Dr. Spirit was talking about as well, because I've been in these high anxiety homes. Myself, my friends, we all seen that. You just seen them a stressed, strained, overworked woman without much help, damn near her back on the wall, raising a family,
Even
and what that
married.
house felt like.
Even married.
Even married. This doesn't mean single. This
Yeah.
can be even married. Absolutely.
With the weak man. The weak
So-
man in the house.
The weak or no man in the house, either one of those. Do you validate the statement that she made?
Absolutely. When I was like, ooh, this is so good. I remember when it first aired because I went straight to the comments because I was like, oh, I know this is going to be war in the comments. And I think that she was not saying that men are not important in the home. That's not what she said, and that's not what she meant. But if you have a woman who is fundamentally unhappy, stressed, she has depression, she has anxiety, she is dealing with trauma, and she is the primary caregiver. The woman is the primary caregiver to everyone, even her husband. Everybody is looking to her for some type of emotional support. And she's been put on the pedestal of, you can get it done. And your job is to be of service to everyone. And you cannot pour from an empty cup. And we also really have to re-examine what is proper parenting. Black parenting has been rooted in, and we talked about this, I feed you, I clothe you, I give you a roof over your head. I went to school, I didn't go to jail. I'm respectful out in the world. There is more to parenting. Parenting gives you who you are as a person. It teaches you about empathy, compassion, when it's done well, how to see yourself as intrinsically valuable. Not, oh, what I do or what I have or who I'm with makes me valuable, but I have value as a person. is safe for me out in the world. If you have a mother who doesn't believe that it's safe to be in the world, she's going to make you afraid in the world as well. And she's not going to be able to meet your emotional needs. And I think when we think about Black parenting, it's still rooted in so much traditional behavior and not realizing it's like driving an old car. It doesn't work anymore. So what she said was amazing. I love it.
Is there no good excuse though? Is that not a good excuse if a mom is tasked with all of the other things and is just not able to help out on the emotional spectrum?
What is your question?
Well, is it excusable because the mother has these other responsibilities that she has to exercise to be able to take care of you?
Two things can be true at the same time. You can be doing your best and cause harm. So it doesn't mean, well, she's got to be perfect and do it all. That doesn't exist. What she's saying in the statement is a woman who has been able to process her own trauma, who feels emotionally healthy, is going to have a better relationship with her kids. She's going to show that to her children when they're adults. They're going to be able to live like that. So two of those things can be true.
I notice you keep saying
it's a lot.
Black mother. I notice you keep saying Black mother.
I do.
I want to draw like really get some understanding. Why is there a true difference in how the Black mother has raised her children, or the position she's in versus another race?
Yes. And so when I talk about the Black mother wound, I'm talking about Black mothers that have been typically categorized as being strong Black women. So if we think about my generation, most of our mothers are seen as strong Black women, where they work, they raise kids, they have husbands. Some of them are single solo parents in the house. And the way they parent is a survival parenting. And that comes from slavery, like I was saying. You raise your daughters to keep them alive and make sure people don't think they're a hoe. Those are the two things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And whereas if you take a white woman, she's had more time to process her emotions. She's been allowed to be soft. That's what white fragility is all about. Karen can lay on the ground and cry. She can go to the police and cry. It doesn't matter if she is the murderer. If she cries, someone's going to console her. Someone's going to take how she feels into account. And they'll kill everybody else who they think did her wrong. A Black woman doesn't have that. She doesn't have a safe place to run to. So when she's tired, she just got to eat it. And so that impacts how you parent. Because these are things that are going on. Financially, you're carrying a burden. Mentally, you're carrying a burden. Emotionally, you're carrying a burden. Physically, you're carrying a burden. And you don't have a structure set up where you can say, I'm tired. I'm not coming into work today. You know, these things, the allowances are different for a Black woman with the way she shows up in general. So how she raised her. So, and now her kids have to be better than everybody else's kids. You got to do twice as well. You got to look good. Your grades got to be right because you have the burden of being Black. Then you have the burden of being Black and woman. So you definitely, everything has to be right. White women don't deal with that. They don't have to raise their kids in that way because the world is a safe place. You being white, the world is, you can go get a job. Nobody's going to pull you over. Nobody's going to think that you're a thief. Nobody's going to, a white woman, she can cry, she can fall out, she can be, it's a Black girl, she's seen as bad. She's seen as she got an attitude. A white girl is seen as she's smart, she's curious, she's a little sassy little thing, but it's all very innocent.
Okay. I think that's important to ask because
it's very important because there's a difference. And I know there's a difference. And when the people come into my community, the first thing they say is, finally, there's a space where we feel seen. Because there are conversations about mother wound with white women, and some of those things do overlap. But the feeling that you have, the pressure you have to have allegiance to your mother as a Black daughter when you know she doesn't have allegiance to you is emotionally crippling.
Wow. Guys, we went ahead and we dropped the link of the initiation hotline right here. Absolutely. So guys, what I want y'all to do, I want you to go ahead. If you want to come up in here and ask us a question, you hear the conversation today, y'all. It's going deep. We talking about these relationships with our mother. If you want to come up here and ask Jennifer a question, anything going on with that relationship with your mother or how it might be affecting other areas of your life, you can come up here, click the link, get backstage, get some good lighting, and we will let you up because we're getting close. I didn't even get to talk to you about dating and how this stuff affects that other part of your life. Because this is this conversation, y'all, we could do multiple episodes on this relationship with your mama. Trust me.
I done dated some that got some other wounds.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's not good.
And some other wounds.
That's right. That's not good. Check this out, guys. Shout out to all the new members that's joining the channel and the platform and the community right now. Shout out to everybody buying their dating cards, too. I love that. Shout out to Prox. Shout out to Kathy Hartney, who says, when relationship doesn't work with parents, dad still loves his daughter or son, and the mom, who is not in a relationship, can resent that child because of it.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. Because remember when I said there's not enough to go around?
Yeah.
So here the mother comes now. She's saying, I'm the bad guy. I'm the one on the outside now. And that's what I knew would happen. I knew y'all were going to all turn on me. But that's all triggered from her childhood trauma that's been left unresolved.
So, okay, in that situation, or just a situation where the daughter has the mother wound and then she clings to the dad. So now the dad can do no wrong. Does that further separate or further divide the relationship when the daughter takes dad's side in most situations?
I think anytime the daughter chooses anyone over the mother, it doesn't have to be the dad. It can be anyone where the mother is felt like she's on the outside or she doesn't benefit from that relationship, or there's a guard from her being able to behave in a certain way, she's going to feel like she's on the outside. Whether, because the daughter might cling to the aunt, she might cling to a grandmother, she might cling to a neighbor. It doesn't have to be it can be anyone where she's like, oh, you picked them over me.
You know, now that I think about it, is this one particular time where this is probably the only time I can remember where I know for a fact my mom was jealous, and it was when I was young. I think I was maybe like 13, and one of my mom's friends came over, and we had a dinner. It was her best friend at the time, and my mom something was going on. She had to take a phone call, but she like went away for maybe like 30 minutes or something like that, and I'm just there still at dinner talking to her best friend, who's a lady. And somehow or another, we're talking about this girl that I just started dating at school. And I remember it was like a week later, my mom came busting in my room and was like, why did you tell, I don't want to say her friend's name, why did you tell her about such and such? I'm like, I couldn't even remember who such and such, who the girl was, because, I was 13. And my mom was pissed. And she was like, you don't need to be telling nobody your business. If you got anything you want to share, you need to share with me. And I just remember thinking, why the fuck is this a big deal? Like, why? I don't even understand it. And I remember, like, she was, like, pissed. Yeah. Like, to the highest degree, as if I did something
really wrong.
Really wrong.
Betrayal. It was betrayal.
Betrayal. Right.
And then I know she wanted to, like, put me on some kind of punishment, or, like, it's like she was in, I'm going to give you an ass whooping mode, but I know she couldn't do it.
Because you didn't do anything wrong.
Because I didn't do anything.
But she wanted to make it so you would never do it again.
For at least 3 or 4 days, she was funky about everything. Like, everything was just, I could not do anything right.
She probably, anger is an indicator. And usually it's an indicator of shame. It's an indicator of feeling abandoned. Feeling left out. Her feelings were hurt.
Right.
She felt like there was a moment being shared and she wasn't involved. Right? And she may have had some other unresolved feelings with the woman. She might think, well, everybody likes talking to her, or she's so nice, but maybe your mom, I don't know, didn't have the capacity to kind of pull that kind of conversation out of you, and maybe the way she responded to you made you feel seen and all that kind of stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like, now I'm left out, or
Right.
now you're going to talk to her. You're not going to need me. She needs to be the authority in your life. And here you are talking to this other woman. She's becoming the authority in your life. And if I don't have authority in your life, I don't have anything, because I don't have authority in my own life.
Wow.
So all I have is authority over you. And now you're going to take that away from me.
Wow.
All right, it's time, y'all. We're gonna start bringing the family up here, so y'all better get ready backstage. It looks like I have my
this is gonna be
sister
good.
backstage. Oh, I hope I don't mash up your name, sweetheart.
That's
Is
Miss
Z.
Z.
We got Z on the show. What's up with you, Z? How are you?
Hey guys, I'm well.
Hold on, wait,
How
you gotta
are
unmute yourself, Z. Are you on? Are you muted?
You gotta turn her up.
Oh, we gotta turn Z up. Z, let me hear you speak.
Can you hear me now?
Oh no, we can't hear Z.
Let's get that
We
sound
can't
right,
hear
Lano,
you.
real quick. While we're waiting on Z, I'm gonna go ahead and answer this super chat real quick. Shout out to Anna Dominique, says, can you speak on how sons resent their single mothers who are incapable of keeping a man around, and how it makes them codependent and fear commitment?
Wow.
Damn.
That's a big question. And it's almost like you're asking that because you know something to be true. And now, can I see the question again?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it back up.
Oh, wait.
Because-
They were saying they can hear Z on their end. It's just we can't hear him. That's interesting. But go ahead.
Shout out to Anna Dominique. I'm gonna repeat this again. Can you speak on how sons resent their single mothers who are incapable of keeping a man around, and how it makes them codependent and fear commitment?
So you have a man, and he was raised by a single mother, and she was single his entire childhood. And because of that, he now fears commitment. I don't know. I think there's, when you talk about resenting her, a son is not going to resent his mother because she didn't keep a man.
I don't think so. I think unless only like if the mother like lies or something like that, like
Right,
some
yeah.
kind of big lie.
Yeah,
or
so
something she got.
right. So it sounds like what she's saying is the son was raised by a woman he couldn't trust. And now he doesn't trust women.
Yeah, that could
That
be.
kind of sounds more like what's happening. That I had a mother who was not of integrity. That's what it sounds like, right? And
Right.
the son feels that way. And so now he doesn't feel like other women have integrity.
Because I've heard that one a
Yeah.
lot. I've had friends who talk about that.
Yeah.
They just don't trust women because their mom was a little shady.
Right.
You know, kept secrets from them, don't want to be, share things with
Yeah.
them. But I've never heard because it wasn't a dude. She can't keep a dude.
Right. So I think what happens with that is that's probably not the person for you because he has a lot of unhealed trauma and he's projecting that into his present day life. But this is why I'm saying like the relationship with the mother is the most important relationship because it defines how you see yourself and how you see other people and how you see the world. So that is someone, if he believes that, if he believes, if I couldn't trust my mother, if my mother wasn't trustworthy, and that's my mama, I can't trust other women. That's a really far stretch and it's not logical. And that's an emotionally immature conclusion to come to. And that's someone that needs work and you can't help him. You're not in a space and you could never, ever, ever be good enough to change his mind. You never, ever be able to be the person to say, oh, well, you're trustworthy. So you just want to leave that alone.
Now this is a good one. It came up in the chat. Let me see this one. Says the lady L says the resentment comes when he feels he has to care for his mom because she has no husband. I don't think I haven't heard the resentment, but have you heard the resentment in that case? Because a lot of young men have to take care of their moms.
Yeah, I mean I've heard of that becomes the burden. If you have the mother wound is the mother to the daughter, it's the mother to the son burden. But that is where the sense of debt comes in. Like, this is my mother. And if I don't take care of her, I'm seen as a bad person. What am I going to do? And you don't have to take care of her because she doesn't have a husband. You have to take care of you. First of all, you don't have to take care of her. You're taking care of her because she doesn't know how to take care of herself.
Right.
Whether she because there are lots of women who are single who take care of themselves and their sons don't take care of them.
I do consider that a job, though. I do, because, I mean, isn't that why you have kids, for insurance policy? Like, so somebody could take care of you when you get old? Isn't that not a benefit
That is
to having
not-
kids?
No.
Why not? I mean, to me, that's part of my package. Like, I'm going to have a bunch of kids, because one of them,
How do you know?
well, I don't know for a
Exactly.
fact, but that is the plan.
Okay.
And I'm hoping, economies of scale, I'm hoping at least one of them is financially and emotionally responsible to make sure they take care of mom and pops. Because I personally consider that a duty.
Well, then you need to focus on building a trusting and loving relationship with them, because they could be financially well off.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah. So that's where that comes in. But it can't be a debt.
I agree.
Because that we raise kids think, well, I did this for you and I did that and now you owe me. That's another big part of Black parenting, where I owe my parents. You cannot owe your parents for raising you. That doesn't make any sense. But that's just it's the propaganda of Black parenting, where I owe my parents. You don't owe them. Right now, y'all are enmeshed. Y'all in a toxic relationship and nobody has autonomy. So it's not really your kid's responsibility to take care of you. Really, it's your kid's responsibility to take care of themselves and take care of their family. And if you do what you're supposed to do, you'll have your money and your dividends, and you've taken good care of yourself physically. So what is the care that you need from them? Wouldn't you want them out living their best life and you paying for a nurse to come and give you your medicine?
Yeah, but you still got, estate planning and kind of all that comes with that, because you want to try your best to pass as much as you can to the next generation.
Right.
So I do think as a parent, you have a duty to give your kid a head start and
Yeah.
at least leave them in much better
No,
position
that's what
than
I'm
you.
saying, but it's not their duty that they have to take care of you when you get old. If you've done all of those things, then you straight.
Honestly, that's
Yeah, they don't have to.
The
but
funny thing is,
You want them
you know what?
to love you enough they want to be around, they care
Yes,
for you.
exactly.
That's why. But you
That's
want it to
ideal.
be from a place that they love you.
Because the funny thing is, here's the thing, bro. Just from what we've seen, you honestly don't even want to be at the wheel of your kids coming to take care of you.
Some kids.
No,
Some kids.
I'm just saying that's just the reality. Because
Unfortunately.
I mean, my plan is to raise some superstars,
Right.
but
You never know.
it's a roll of the dice. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen kids with incredible homes just choose to go left for no reason.
But how do you know they have incredible homes?
Well,
I guess you really don't know what's
and
happening on the
when I say
inside.
incredible homes, they had stable homes.
Financial
what does that mean?
resources.
They had a mom, they had a dad.
Did they have an emotionally present mother? Did they have an emotionally present father?
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, from what I've seen, I liked them.
Right. Yeah, but
They taught me some things.
Right, but did your mother act the same in front of people as she did when nobody was around?
Now that could be. Listen, now that's fair. That's fair. But it is still some knuckleheads that had a decent home that choose to go left. That's still a thing too.
Well, that is a thing, but I don't think it's a roll of the dice. And I'm just saying that for being a parent for the last 16 years and seeing how my mother parented, how people parent. You have to look at what your priorities are in parenting, because a lot of people say, well, they go to a good school, they always had good clothes, they lived in a good neighborhood, we went to church. But if you didn't teach your child honesty, because you might do all the right things, but you might be out of integrity as a person. In your household, there's a lack of integrity. If you haven't taught your child integrity, if you haven't taught your child accountability, it's very easy to go left because they got hooked up with the wrong crowd. If you haven't taught your children functionally what it looks like to be a good friend and how to recognize a good friend, it's very easy for them to go off somewhere. If you don't see your child and you don't know how to raise a child with healthy self-esteem, then they're going to fall into hands of whoever has the shiniest car, the best clothes, with the biggest promise. It's so easy, and it's such a specific job. So if you want to raise a kid that's a superstar, you want to raise a kid that has a high level of integrity, a high level of accountability, a high level of authenticity, and who has a sense of empathy because he knows he has a value and a worth outside of what he does. That child, I don't care if he digs ditches or he's the president of the United States, he will naturally, he or she, people will gravitate toward. Opportunities will come toward that person. And then when they meet challenges in their life, they will be able to handle the challenges because they have a core base. And I think those are the most important things. Your kids having Jordans, being in the right school, the right neighborhood, that is not what is going to build a foundation for a strong person. And so to me, I could probably do a whole podcast on like really conscious parenting, because I've only been able to be that kind of parent through my own healing. And it's the most important work. So when I hear people talk about having a kid and how they raise a child, you got to really get specific about what are the values you want to instill in them, whether they're male or female.
That's so true. You actually got me thinking, because I do think a lot of the things that I would consider duty to another person, it'll probably be like massive amounts of pressure that they might be feeling, you know, and discomfort that they might be feeling. Because even when it comes to certain situations now, I think about, you know, because I got a sister and I got family, and I be judging them. You know, I do judge them because I'm like, you acting like this not even going on. You know, like, you know, and to me it's, and I guess maybe it's like a hero complex. I just feel like, yo, you know what? If nobody in the family do it, I'm gonna make sure it's done.
Right.
You know, but I can imagine, you know, the other people that's involved, they could feel completely different.
Right.
About the
It does depend, because if you've seen your mother struggle when you were young, it didn't even have to be all of your life, but she is the first love of your life. Right. And you saw her doing her best and you saw her struggle. Children are self-centered, and it's natural for them to be self-centered, because what they then believe is, she's struggling because of me. And it might not even be, it might be a man, it might be a job, it could be anything. But because children think the world revolves around them, this is just natural. They think whatever this problem is because of me. And she loves me so much, of course, because of love, I want to solve her problems. So you can grow up to become that person who has a strong sense of honor and strong sense of duty. Because my son has a very strong sense of honor and duty. And now I'm trying to reprogram him out of that to come to a healthy balance. Because I'm like, you're very good to people, and I want you to be with people who are as good to you as you are to people.
Oh, so you're saying the downfall, because I was about to say, why would you try to reprogram that? But you're saying the downfall of having that mindset is that you might. Martyr. Okay, you're the person that people take advantage of.
You're the person that people, yes, you become the martyr. And you call it loyalty. You call it friendship. But then you don't know how to accept the friendship. You don't know how to ask for help when it's needed, and you don't know how to recognize when you're actually helping someone versus you being codependent and you enabling them.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I know a martyr, and I hope she's listening to this right now.
Oh yeah.
You are a martyr. Okay.
She's giving everybody everything.
And is scared to ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scared to ask, but always there when people ask.
Yeah, because you think, I'm gonna treat people, if I'm good to, this is the logic, even though it's not logical. If I'm good to people, then people will be good to me.
Right.
But when you're good to people, they just say, oh, I must be a great person for you to help me. They don't think that you need something, because I had to learn how to ask. People would think my life was really easy because I was that person who was always of service.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, guys.
I'm going
to try this again, y'all. We're going to see if it's going to happen today. Look, my sister Z, come back onto the stage. All right? You got to be patient with us, all right? Having these deep conversations. But I'm going to see if we can hear my sister Kathy. Kathy, coming to the stage. Kathy, can you let me hear you speak.
Hi, how you doing?
All right. What I'm going to do here, Lano, I'm going to go ahead and play it out loud because I want to hear her here from the laptop. So check it out.
Hi, how you doing?
All right. What I'm going to do here. Kathy.
I can hear you now. Yes.
All right. Ask your question.
Oh, my question was, if you have a parent that you know is incapable of loving you for whatever reason, because this is Mother's Day week. I'm so glad you guys had this topic. And you have the societal pressure and the guilt. How do you separate yourself and save yourself from that parent? Because my parents got married, they were teenagers, and they had me. I'm the oldest, and I felt like their children were my children. And I used to think, like she just said, that children think the world revolves around them, that children were the problem, when in fact it's not the children that's the problem, it's the trauma that the parents have experienced. So how do you choose yourself? Because I'm a parent now of two great boys, and I'm choosing them and choosing myself.
I think it's a process. It's not like it doesn't happen overnight, right? And it starts with setting boundaries. That's how you start to choose yourself. And so you start in small ways with small boundaries. And so let's say Mother's Day. Let's say Sunday is coming up and there's an expectation that you need to spend the entire day with them, right?
Yes.
You go ahead and set the expectation now. You have a conversation. Hey, mom, I'm going to come over on Sunday after we have lunch. I'm going to be there about noon, and we're going to stay till about 1:30, and then I'm going to go home. Period. Now, they might go into, well, why you can't come early? What you got to do? It's not a conversation. Mom, I'm a mother too. It's my Mother's Day. I'm going to come about 12, and I'm going to leave about 1:30. Or I cannot come at all. That's it. Okay, mom, I'll talk to you later. Bye. You can even send it in a text. But it's not a conversation. Because where people get caught up is they're trying to get their mother to understand their perspective. And it's not about getting somebody to understand the perspective, because the only reason you want her to understand your perspective is so she'll change. And if she changes, then you can have the relationship that you really want with her, which is really manipulative. It's well intended, but it still is manipulative, because she has a right to feel the way she has to feel, the way she wants to feel. And it can feel unfair because now you're put in a difficult position. But that is a part of you bossing up, having autonomy, having authority, and being your own person. You're going to have difficult conversations with people. They're not always going to agree with you. And so that is where you start. You start with that process, and then you just continue, depending on what the situation is, of setting different boundaries, of saying no and not. And a boundary is a statement. Has accountability. It's not a conversation. It's not up for debate. It's not up for discussion. So I hope that helps.
Thank you so much.
No doubt, no doubt. Thank you so much for coming up and asking that question, Kathy. I'm going to go ahead and bring my girl Z back up here to the stage, okay? Hold on, Z. Let me bring you. Bam! Here we go, Z. What's up with you?
Hey, how are you guys?
We are blessed, Z. Go ahead and ask your question. Matter of fact, I missed it on the last one, but do me a favor. Give me your age, your location, and your question, okay?
Oh, okay, we're doing this again. Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Zipporah. I'm 26 years old, and I'm South African, but I currently live in Ireland. So my question is, it actually had to do with like the previous question that was asked, like in terms of boundaries. So like if you do have a mother that kind of like imposes herself on your life and you're trying to uncleave from that, but you do recognize that like you still need to, ask her certain questions and like you look to her for guidance, like how do you, because I find that in this stage of my life, I'm struggling to trust my own judgment on certain things, and I feel like I still need her approval. And I know that I'm in a place where I don't need to ask for permission anymore, but it's still kind of like I feel like I still need her guidance, and like I still need a second opinion. Like, how do you kind of uncleave from that relationship with your mom?
That is a really good question, and a lot of people go through that, because what you have to do is transition from the little girl to the woman. And what
That's
that
hard.
also means is you're going to have to make choices even when they may result in a mistake. You don't want to make a mistake, and you're going to have to get over that. And the only way you can learn to trust yourself is by doing things on your own. And sometimes you will make a mistake, but I think you're probably going to get it right more than you get it wrong. And then you be like, oh, wow, I did know what I was doing, because you know what your mother's going to say. You've been with her your whole life. You know exactly what she is going to say. But so what you really are looking for is her approval, and you want to do something that makes her happy. And you have to establish what makes you happy. And then you also have to go about building a support system outside of the one you have with your mother, right? Because right now she is your main source for support. And you have to think about who are mentors you could have in your life, who are other groups of women, depending on what the topic might be and what books you might be able to read, where you can build your own confidence and your own knowledge base, and you can start taking baby steps in different areas. And I always say this, but one of the biggest keys to becoming autonomous and becoming your own woman is disappointing your mother, because she has a perspective of who you are. She has a perspective of what the relationship is. And for her, it's in stone. You're not going to, doesn't matter how old you get, the relationship will be the same for her. It's stuck in time. And it can't be stuck in time for you, because you have to grow and you have to mature and you have to self-actualize. So you're going to have to disappoint her. You're going to have to do things that she doesn't like. They work for you, they don't work for her, because you're going to have to create a new sense of self, and she's going to have to get to know the new version of you.
Damn.
Wow, that was a lot.
Z, thank you
Like,
so much. I'm muted. Z, thank you so much for coming up. Thank you so much, Z, for actually coming up in here and asking great questions, as you always do. I'm starting to get really familiar with your face, but for somehow I keep forgetting that name. But much love to you, Z, okay?
That was a really good
Alrighty.
question. That
Good night,
happens. That is a very common question.
How to uncleave from.
How to uncleave, because that's the autonomy. I'm telling you, you don't have autonomy, and you're trying to figure out how to give it. And in a proper structure, a woman would introduce her daughter to more and more independence. She would encourage her to make decisions that she may not agree with. And she may be, because she's on her own journey of learning, right? And then that gives the daughter more and more and more confidence to make choices on her own. But again, I think when you come from a Black home, that's very hard, because we see the world as a dangerous place, right? You say, a white family might say, well, you know what? She's backpacking across Europe for the summer at 16. That's perfectly normal. That is great skills to learn to become more independent, to become a leader, to trust your guidance, to meet people, to create a support system, all those types of things. But maybe financial constraints, we can't do it. We think that's not normal.
Right.
Or if you're not in my house, I don't trust you to do the right thing. What's going to happen to you? How am I going to be able to get to you? So you don't get the opportunities to build those connections internally, to have confidence, to say, oh, I can go away to college. My mother didn't want me to go away to college. I had gotten accepted into Howard, had taken my SATs. I was graduating early. And she was like, no, you're going to community college.
Wow.
And it broke me. I ended up like running away from home.
Wow.
Because I was like, why? And you knew this is what I wanted to do. And then later, years later, she came back and she was like, I didn't want you at Howard University. I didn't want you in DC, because she was in DC in her 20s.
Oh, so she probably experienced that. Yeah.
Right. But that wasn't even on my mind. I really wanted to go to college. It wasn't even about boys or partying. That was really what I wanted to do. But she couldn't see that in me. She couldn't see that I was capable of handling that level of responsibility, even though I had had a job since I was 14. I cooked all the meals in my house. I was on an honor roll at school. I taught children's church at church every Sunday. I never got in any trouble. Like, I had all the trappings of someone who was capable, but it was her own limited view of herself that she projected onto me.
Would you have felt differently about that if she would have gave you some background information about why she wanted you to make that decision?
I think if there would have been a middle ground.
Okay.
Right? So let's say, Jennifer, it would have to be based off of my behavior. It couldn't be based off of her behavior. If she said, now, you got D's in school, or you stay out too late. I've told you consistently that your curfew is at 11 o'clock and you come in this house at 1 o'clock in the morning. You can't be trusted, but you can't show me any evidence why I can't be trusted, right?
Okay.
Now, if you're to say, you know what, I feel like you might not be ready for that. And I lived in, Howard University was local to where I lived. So yeah.
Oh wow. So you was pretty
It
much
was
staying
30,
around.
it was 30 minutes away.
Oh wow.
So a
Incredible.
middle ground would have been, you can attend Howard, but your freshman year you have to live at home.
Right.
And I'm gonna get you a car. That's a middle ground, right?
Right.
That's something reasonable. I would have been open to something reasonable. But for you to tell me the first 2 years, so basically you can't leave my house until you're 20.
Ooh.
And we already don't get along.
That's the most important one right there.
You was pretty much in jail. That's probably how you seen
I
it.
was in jail.
Oh,
And my
yeah.
mother was a correctional officer.
Oh, damn. Oh, warden.
Right.
She was in there.
She was a little hard.
Man, I get that, man. I get that. Well, how about this, y'all? We got to go ahead. I love this conversation, but we got to hit y'all with a quick commercial break. So, Lionel, go ahead and pull it up as we get back to it. Y'all stay in here and stay patient because we got some good news for y'all.
Big facts. And first, shout out to Lydia. We're out in the UK, always keeping up with us. She says, hey, guys, I got my pack of cards. That's dope. Shout out to Lydia. 9
Absolutely.
months. Lydia, I told you we had something special for you. We appreciate you.
Much love.
Lana, we ready?
Let's get it popping. AG1. Here, look, it's a lot going on back there.
Yeah,
today. It's
man,
a lot going on back
let me
there.
tell you,
today.
listen, we making some changes to the technology in the studio right now, so y'all are experiencing firsthand the type of work and dedication and commitment that comes to building this thing out. So
Absolutely.
guys, real quick, I want to tell y'all about this, and this is really one of my favorite supplements to take. It's very important, guys. I first gave AG1 a try because I wasn't feeling as focused, really just low on energy. We're very busy, guys. We're working 13 hours a day. I was feeling low on energy, okay? But since drinking AG1 daily, I felt a difference in my daily health.
And that's because AG1 is a foundational nutritional supplement, guys, that supports your body's universal needs, gut optimization, stress management, immune support, all the things we need since 2010, all right? AG1 has led the future of foundational nutrition, continuously refining their formula to create a smarter, better way to elevate your baseline health.
Big facts. But not only did I replace my multivitamin with AG1, I was always on the multivitamins, but I love the every scoop also includes prebiotics, probiotics, and digestive enzymes for gut support.
So we recommend AG1 to all my family and friends because it's formulated based on the latest science and maintains high quality standards, y'all.
Even my friends, really the gym bros, my friends have started using AG1 daily, and they always tell me how energetic they feel. So
Every morning.
Yeah, every morning, guys, before I hit the gym, all right, I get my 8 ounces of water, I get a fresh lemon squeeze, and I drop my 1 scoop of AG1 in there. Boom, ready for the day.
Woo! So, guys, listen, if there's one product we had to recommend, it's going to be the AG1. That's why I'm excited to let you know that's our new partner. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/initiate. That's drinkag1.com/initiate. Check it out, and it's also in the description. All right. There you have it, family. Man. So we went ahead and got that out the way for you guys. So go ahead and take a look at that. We're taking care of your emotional health and your physical health here today on this episode. And I kind of can I switch it up a little bit for us?
Do it.
Just a little switch, because I want to talk dating a little bit, because it's important for me to not marry a woman with major mother wounds. Okay, I'm sorry. Look, listen, ladies, I look, y'all too, stay away from them brothers that got them deep mommy and daddy issues, the deep ones, because trust me, that can get wild. Them brothers, it can get wild.
But this has to be a very finite amount of people who don't have mother wounds. Is that, would you agree with that?
And I'm talking
remember,
about,
it's a spectrum.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm
Okay.
talking
So
about
the
the
severe.
the
You
wild
don't wanna be
spectrum.
on the end.
I don't want to be on that end, because I already gave you an example of what I experienced.
Right.
But give me some other ways, right? If I'm a guy that's dating, what does it look like in a woman? I don't have much game. I want to be able to recognize it. What are some things I might see in her to recognize, you know what, there are some wounds here, and here's how it's manifesting?
Okay. So first, we're presuming that you're someone who has dealt with and is dealing with your own trauma, and you are healing, and you are emotionally available and emotionally stable, right? And you are emotionally healthy. We're starting with that, right?
I am healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're starting there. I think things you want to look at are communication. How does someone handle disagreements? Does someone think that do they feel as though they need to be rescued? Do they feel like no one's ever there for them? Do they have this kind of woe is me? Oh, you gonna leave me? You're not gonna talk to me? Do they stonewall you when there's communication?
All of those things can come from other wounds.
Yes.
Wow. So let's go back, because you started naming a couple. Let's go back. I should have had my pen and pad out, because you said a couple. You talk stonewalling. You talk even conflict resolution.
Yeah.
So all of this is kind of under the family and umbrella of communication.
Yeah.
So it sounds like somebody with a mother wound might just not know how to communicate, might not know how to handle conflict, might not know how to handle a situation in a relationship that needs.
They have poor emotional management skills. So if you have poor emotional management, that's going to show up in how you resolve conflict.
Right.
But it's also going to show up in, is she able to ask for what she needs? Now, this is a tricky one, because you might meet a woman and she's amazing. She is so giving. She is so caring. She is so kind. She is so nurturing.
Yes.
She wants to know what you need, how she can show up for you. And then you tell her and she does it easily, effortlessly. But she doesn't know how to ask for what she needs.
Perfect. I'm kidding.
I was almost jumping across this table. Don't play with me.
I'm kidding. No. She got to know that. She got to know how to come, because women be wanting us to read minds sometimes, and like sometimes they'll not communicate and be upset when us as men don't deliver on what wasn't communicated.
So some men may be turned off by a woman. They might think she's being demanding. She asking for too much stuff, but she might really have a healthy sense of her own value, and she knows how to ask for what she wants and what she needs, right? So if you have a woman who always agrees with you, that's a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
If everything you do is right, that's a red flag.
It's funny because, Ryan, you remember that a while ago, it was some young lady. You was like, I could just tell she got her. She in interview mode with me.
Oh, yeah. Because, I was even doing things that I just knew I shouldn't have been doing, you know.
Why would you do that? Why do you do that?
No, it wasn't intentional.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't intentional. But she was just way too understanding of things.
Right,
You
yeah.
know. And I'm just like, it just didn't seem like it was very authentic.
Absolutely.
I'm like, how could you not be upset about this? Like, I'm ready to apologize about this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I was just like, I can't date nobody. Like,
That
it's
is
like
good.
it's not a real person.
It's not real because iron sharpens iron, right? And you want somebody that can hold you accountable
Exactly.
in a healthy way. But that person, it has a fear of being rejected. They have a fear of being abandoned. They might think that no one will love them if they have a contrary opinion or perspective. So you want someone who has their own opinion, right? I think the woman you talked to who was cussing her mother out, that's like a blatant thing where you like, I'm not dealing with that. But if you want to look at more subtle ways, you want to look at what are their relationships like with the people they're around, right? What type of friend groups do they have? Do they have their own life? Do they enjoy themselves? Do they have to always be on the phone with you? Do they like, where you at? Where you didn't?
Oh my God.
You know, or they like, where you going? You going with your friends? Okay, but y'all have fun. We're going over here. You want someone who has a healthy sense of who they are.
Yeah.
You know, and it can be really deceptive because a lot of the ways that a woman can exhibit a wound benefits a man.
Really?
Yeah, because like I said, she's caring, she's nurturing, she's always there for you. She doesn't argue with you. She thinks that you are just everything. You make all the mistakes in the world and she'll take you back. A lot of men are like, oh yeah,
Oh,
give
you can
me
take
that.
advantage of that.
You can take advantage of that.
Right.
No, I got it. You know, because she's trying to perform and prove that she's worth loving. You don't want someone who is trying to prove that they're worth loving, right? That's why I say you have to be in a healthy space. Because if you're not in a healthy space, you could be like, oh yeah, this woman is a diamond, but she thinks she a cubic zirconia. She's on sale. I'm not even going to let her know that she really has more value, because I can benefit from all of those things.
Honestly, when you even see a woman, especially when a man isn't, like, those whose self-esteem is low in the dating place are just prey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are prey and ready to be pounced on by the savages and the predators of the space, men and women.
But it can be so subtle though, because in the beginning, the stakes are low. So someone could come off as they have high self-esteem when the stakes are low. But when they become attached
That's true.
to you,
That
is so
then
true.
something comes out,
Yeah.
right? So you may not know in the beginning, right? I think it's important to know what are people's practices. How do you stay emotionally and mentally healthy? Right? Are you in therapy? Do you journal? Do you spend time outside? You know, what are the things that you are doing? Because if you're not doing anything, right? What do you read books? What kind of books do you read? What type of TV do you watch? What are you consuming? And if somebody has an unhealthy consumption, you don't have to wait until argument comes, because you already be like, oh, I can kind of.
You already know.
This is, and it could be hard because y'all could be having so much fun. She looks so good and y'all have such a good time. Maybe it's not going to be a problem. But if you are someone who's really diligently looking for your life partner, you know, then you're going to have to make hard decisions, right?
No, that makes a lot of sense. I want to ask this too, because when it comes to men, okay, because men got mother wounds too.
Yes.
Because a lot of men grew up in real raggedy situations where they probably could not depend on their mom. They probably they seen their mom do very disgusting things, and it had them, you know, lose respect for women. It's just it's a lot of different things that can happen. So what does the mother wound look like in the man, so the sisters can also be able to recognize that?
A mother wound for men, I think there's you look
And
at
what's the difference, by the way, breaking down, how is it different between us men and women?
I think a difference is if there's a mother wound with a daughter, the daughter is a reflection of the mother, right?
Yeah.
So she sees her own life. She sees her own trauma, and she's trying to avoid that in the daughter. Or there can be that sense of jealousy, like, oh my God, she's doing better than me. She's going further than me. And it can show up with a mother wound and a son as, now I have someone who can take care of me. I can logically create this sense of debt where this person is always going to be, he's always going to be there for me, especially if you have like a really cuddly relationship as a mother with your son, and you don't have that from your husband or your male counterpart. You know, it's like, oh, he really loves me. Like, I've never had this. So you cleave to that. And you want him to always make you a priority. So you can have it can show up where the man always is trying to save his mother, right? Or he's always trying to save his friends. He got to be there for everybody all the time, right? So that hero complex there, that's something somebody should be on the lookout for. A man who has a real resentment toward women, which we see a lot. When I read comments online,
Oh, despise women.
it's like, you don't like your mother. There's somewhere you have learned that a woman has no value, and you couldn't say all the stuff you wanted to her, so now you're gonna say it to me, right?
So let me ask you, can a man have a super healthy relationship with his mom and still just generally have a generally misogynistic take on women?
No.
Or is that not possible?
Really?
No, because if he has a healthy relationship with his mother, he sees his mother as a person. He sees her as a full woman. What he has a healthy bond to is her role as mother. And it's probably not realistic because he doesn't even know her. All he knows is she has always been there for me. She's Jesus on the cross. She's perfect. She can do no wrong, right? But you don't even really know her as a person. You don't know when she's been scared. You don't know the mistakes that she's made. She has created a picture of who she is, and she's treated you in a way like that you're a prince. So do you have a healthy relationship with her, or has she put you on a pedestal and she thinks that you're God's gift and she lets you get away with shit that you really shouldn't be getting away with? That's a difference. How do you know? Just because you get along with somebody doesn't mean it's a healthy relationship. Y'all could be lying to each other. Right? You know you have a healthy relationship with your mother based off of how you treat other women. How can you treat one woman well and you don't treat another woman well? That means it's conditional. You're treating her well because of how she has shown up in your life for you, not because of the person that she is. Because everybody is flawed. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody lets someone down. And if you have a mother who you say has never let you down, there's a lie in there.
You know, it's interesting. I felt like I knew guys that actually had a good or at least decent relationship from the outside with their mother, but they were still like, you know, savages.
Right.
You know.
And this is the thing. A lot of trauma, like I told you, it starts early on. So you might have a great relationship with your mother in the present tense, but it doesn't. But the things that she taught you, or you learned from her, or you learned from the relationship from your parents, show you how you behave in other relationships because you've compartmentalized. Because who you are as a son is not the same person you are as somebody in the street. And that is a split in who you are. And that means you lack integrity and you lack authenticity. If you show up in this way, hey mom, I don't curse around my mother. I dress this way. I do this around. Like, you have a whole persona when you're with your mother so you can stay in her good graces. But if she really knew who you were, that relationship might not exist.
Wow.
And so you protect it. And then because everybody has a desire to be who they are, and because she thinks you're something else, she's never been able to really raise you and get you together in the correct way. So now you in the street and you're like a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, because you've never matured, because you've never been raised. You've been allowed to grow up. So you can say, yeah, my mom, I love my mom. Yeah, because you present yourself a certain way. You might pay all her bills.
Right.
You might always be there for her but it's not an authentic relationship. So I wouldn't consider that healthy.
And
I agree with that.
quick update for my people that's just getting up in this joint. Her Soft Life. Y'all, this is a 90-day journal. Y'all gonna be able to read it. Y'all gonna be able to do a little bit of writing. Journal. It's a guided journal, y'all. So we giving away 5 of these for people that go ahead and fill out and complete the giveaway link and form that is here, and stay to the end, y'all, because we're going to announce the winners very shortly. So I want y'all to go ahead and fill that joint out, because we will be pulling winners pretty soon here. So go ahead and get that done for me, family. I want to speak for my men that might already be in a relationship with this kind of woman, because I'm seeing there's some people in the chat now. Obviously, they already have kids, whether it was planned or not. They have a woman that they identified has wounds from her mother. Now, the biggest problem with the mother wound is this is a generational problem based on what you communicated. So now, how do I, as a man, prevent this wound from being passed down to my child and parenting if it's clear that this is the situation that, you know, the mother of my child is currently in?
Well, you can't individually prevent it, right? You have to that woman has to be willing to do the healing. So are you with a woman who's willing to do the healing work, or are you with a woman who's committed to being the way that she is? Because you might take a L.
Sound like it's too late in that situation, right? Because if she was willing, would she not have started already?
No, not necessarily,
Okay.
because you may not have known it was something. It's been normalized.
Got you.
You know, you don't even know that it's a thing. You think it's that's how it is. You have to think about people who might have a mother wound, but in this situation, what if the mother is the babysitter? Everybody needs her right now because y'all can't pay for childcare.
You're right about that.
So how do we maneuver around this woman that we need? Right? So there's so many, it's so many nuances to that. And if you're a man and you have attached yourself with, fallen in love with a woman who has this kind of wound, you have your own wound. So you're not sitting over in your seat somewhere like, oh, they're the problem and I have it going on. First, you need to look at how you contribute to the problem. How do your wounds play into that? And do your own self-work. That's what you have to do. You have to lead by example. If you know that she needs some healing work done and you're in love with her, then I bet my money you need some healing work also. So you get your healing work.
Nah, you're right about that. 'Cause
That's
you're
a
not gonna
fact.
pick this woman.
You
And
wouldn't
you all healthy.
Nah.
Yeah.
And it might be in a different way. And it might not show up because it might not be outwardly toxic because I go home, I go to work every day, I bring the money home, I don't cheat on her, I'm hurt. That doesn't mean that you don't have trauma, relational trauma, right? Because we all have relational trauma. So start your own work, because what won't work is you pointing out all the ways she's wrong. This is what's wrong with you. This is why you and your mama, you're the cause of this, you're the cause of that. That will never work, right? So start doing your own work. Practice leadership by doing your own healing work. And then you have to see what happens. She might pick up on it. It might change the dynamic. You might introduce her to something that she didn't know was possible, or you might have to go your separate ways.
And what about the, because, sometimes people just choose to just completely walk away from family.
Absolutely.
And in those situations, is that ever a healthy alternative? Or, because my thought is when you're born, you have these two connections. And it might be more, but in my mind, you have an umbilical cord, a metaphysical one to your mother and father. Then you also have this umbilical cord to God. And regardless of how far you try to escape it or what the situation might be, even if you literally were born, never met your parents and was adopted, you still got this umbilical, this metaphysical umbilical cord. So it's still something there. But is it ever in your best interest to just completely walk away if you find that the other person is just not willing to work on the relationship?
What comes through the umbilical cord? In the physical realm, food.
Nutrients, right?
Nutrients, right?
Right.
What if there are toxins in the umbilical cord? Do you keep the umbilical cord? If there are toxins coming through the umbilical cord, do you keep it just because it's the only one you have?
That's a good question.
Damn.
That's a good question.
Because if you're being fed toxins, how can you be healthy? How can you get healthy? Even if you are trying to feed yourself healthy nutrients, the umbilical cord is going straight to your gastrointestinal system. You can't compete with that. So you have to look at, in practical ways, what is healthy. So sometimes that is the only option, right? So we give a priority and kind of this leniency to our parents. Because they're parents, they can do things to us that we wouldn't let somebody else do to us. And parents can prey on that. And that's really not fair, because you're still in that sense of debt. I have a responsibility to them. Maybe if I get healthy enough, the nutrients I have, they'll push back into them, when that's not how it works.
Right.
The baby does not feed the mother. The mother feeds the baby. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
So you have to look at what is healthy. If you have a foot and it has gangrene and you don't cut the foot off, that gangrene is going to continue to grow. It's not a happy option.
Right.
And these are not, like I said, there's a spectrum. But you have to look at what detriment you're in due to a relationship.
I'm glad that you state that because, man, it's so crazy. I just realized how critical I am of other people, because I've heard that from quite a few women that they, just having a relationship where they just don't speak to their mother,
Right.
often. They never go home for holidays, family. They're just like they completely, this is what a Friendsgiving comes about.
What do you think it takes to do that?
You're
You
right.
think it's
You're right.
easy? I haven't spoken to my mother in almost 10 years.
Wow. So she got cut. Your mom had to get
My
cut
mother
off.
stopped speaking to me
Why is that?
because I told her I didn't like how I was being treated. And she looked at that as being disrespectful.
Oh my goodness.
And I think she knew it was coming because we had been having more heated conversations where I was exerting my own authority.
Is that a red flag? Like to a guy, if I'm, because I'm not gonna lie, if a woman tells me I ain't spoke to my mom in 10 to 15 years,
I'm already
like,
it's not work. Yeah, but
what's going on over here?
Right.
So how do I dig deeper
Right.
to figure out what's going on
Yeah,
here?
because you can't always look at and say, oh, that means that. You can't assign a stark value to something without understanding the context, because you might be with a woman and she spends every weekend with her parents. She talked to her mother every day and it still might not be healthy. So you can't look at that per se. Well, I mean, the question then becomes what happened? And you have to think about where you are in a relationship. Remember at the top of the interview, she asked the guy the question about his parents, and he really didn't know how to go into that, right? So
Right.
if this happens like on the first date, and someone tells you, I haven't spoken to my mother in 10 or 15 years, I think the first thing to do, instead of being critical and find out, let me see if this is a green flag or a red flag, is to exhibit curiosity and compassion. How has that been for you? I'm sorry, because there is a sense of grief there that you will never know.
No, that's so true.
So that's where you start with, and you treat them with some humanity. What has that been like for you? And how much do you feel comfortable sharing about what made you all come to that conclusion? And it might be, was that a hard decision to make? How that had to have been a difficult decision. 'Cause
Let me tell you, just to bring some humanity to it, I will not ask those questions.
Right.
I'm gonna dig deep for sure.
But you
and
make
anybody
some-
that knows me know.
You just make some initial, assumptions.
Those will be
That's what I'm
my
saying.
first. Those will be
Yes.
my first level assumptions that something ain't right. If I hear that, and I like that you did put that though. You said like there's a level of grief, there that I've thankfully never had to experience, and I think it even goes to the next level of sometimes a lot of us, our parents leave this earth, and them relationships was in shambles. So if I'm in a situation where I have a deep mother wound and my mother is no longer here, how do I heal that? How do I deal with that?
Healing your mother wound is not about healing the relationship you have with your mother. Healing your mother wound is about healing the relationship you have with yourself. Because you have a broken relationship with yourself because you treat you how she treated you. So you have a lack of trust for yourself. You have a lack of compassion for yourself. You have a lack of knowing of who you are. You have a lack of reverence for yourself. That is what has to be healed, because that's a popular question I get. And the process is the same if your mother is alive, if she is no longer here, if she's no contact, if you all talk regularly. It is about healing the wound. So let's say you hit me with your car, right? And you break my leg. I can't heal my leg by getting you to be sorry. I have to tend to my leg. It doesn't matter what happened to you. And it's the same way. The wound now is on me. The wound is not the relationship. And that was like, you all probably found me because I had a post on Instagram that went viral. It was probably like 2.1 million views right now. And it's like, stop trying to get your mother to admit she was wrong.
That's the one.
Because people believe if she admits that she's wrong, we can heal the relationship. And if we heal the relationship, then she can now be the person who tells me that I'm worth loving, because I need her to tell me I'm worth loving. I need her to tell me that I'm valuable. I need her to tell me that I'm smart. I need her to tell me that I matter. I need her to tell me that I can do it. Because if she doesn't tell me, it's not true. That's the impact that a mother has on a child. If whatever she says is true, and if she doesn't say it, it's not true. And she may not have even said something to the opposite, but if it has never come up, then it must not be, because she is the purveyor of all truth, because she is God in my eyes, right? Because that is how we see our mother, because she does, it's life or death in her hands. She feeds us literally as a baby, right? When we cry, she's the one who comes. So that is what we know.
I could never imagine that, not liking the person that I look up to, not liking the person that means the world to me.
Right. Imagine the person that you look up to and means the world to you, and they don't like you.
I could not. Yeah.
Can you imagine that? But that is what grief is. I forgot her name. Regina Hall. Regina Hall. She was on 227. She's the black actress. Her son committed suicide 2 years ago.
Yeah. I think
Regina
that is
King.
Regina King.
Regina King.
And so she was talking about her son, and I wrote this down. I have it posted in my office. And she said, grief is love that has nowhere to go. So you can have a mother that is alive, but you love her, but you can't, when you give that love to her, it's not received. That's grief. There's a sorrow there. There's a loss there because you need that attachment to her. So you're grieving even if someone is alive. That's why whether they're alive or they're dead, the wound still exists.
Wow.
You describing this, it really resonates.
Is it better though? Is it better? Do you recommend, for example, and this is so God forbid.
What you about to say?
If you find out that your mom, you ain't spoke to your mom in years. Mm-hmm. If you find out your mom is sick, and for whatever reason the days are low, would you make it your priority to have some serious conversations with your mom, or are you at the point where it's like I'm not even about to do this?
Are you speaking about me personally?
You personally.
I would go see my mother, but it wouldn't be so we can have serious conversations, because me to have a serious conversation is about me. And for me, that's been resolved. I don't have an animosity toward my mother, right? She doesn't have a power over me in that way because I have my own autonomy. I have my own emotional autonomy. So if I found out that she was sick, I would go see her because she is my mother. She is still my first love. And I would want to be there for her in a way that I could be there for her. I don't subscribe to people putting themselves in a space where they can continue to be disrespected or abused, because sometimes that is what happened. I have clients that they're caretakers of their mothers and they are treated very poorly by their mothers. But because of that sense of duty, they stay in it. That's a terrible way to feel. I personally don't know if I could just eat that, because I'm not built like that. In my mouth, what is in my mind comes out of my mouth, right? It doesn't mean I'm going to tell you you're a horrible person, but everybody has to make their own choice. And I don't think anybody can judge that. But I wouldn't try to resolve something with her because I've already resolved it. I'm not trying to get her to change, remember? I'm not trying to get her to finally see. I'm not trying to get her to be someone different than who she is. My mother gave me an enormous amount of things. I have so many blessings from my mother. So I don't need her to make up for anything. She doesn't owe me anything, and I don't owe her anything. So I would go and see her as a woman, as the first woman I've known. And to be, even if she is not able to consciously be aware of the love I'm giving her, I know that it will mean something on some level. And that's all I can do. And then I'm at peace with that,
Wow.
Man, that's, I see so many parallels right. in the relationship with, a woman and her mother, the way you describe it, and the relationship with a man and his father, actually. and actually in the book Way of a Superior Man, I think it's like at the top of the book in chapter 2, like the title of chapter 2, if I'm not mistaken, is Live as Your Father Was Dead. That's literally how that book pops off. And from what you said, like this level of this almost releasing process of being able not to be constrained to who this person is so you can have autonomy in your identity. I see that. And these relationships are so important because I remember you said this on the phone. You know, we so focused on this last relationship.
Right.
With who we going to be with that we ain't even take care of the first relationship.
Absolutely.
And those are the first relationships, arguably some of the most important relationships that we're going to ever have in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And most of us are walking around still with a lot of this weight, and we don't even necessarily know it is weight.
Right. No.
With us. So, you know, that's incredibly important. Before we actually continue, guys, this show ain't about to go on forever. So I want y'all to go ahead, send your last cohort of super chats in, y'all. Send your super chats in so I can get your questions answered. I'm prioritizing any super chats 10 and above. I want to get your questions answered, guys, so we can make sure we can have this conversation, because y'all know a lot of times it's dating relationships. Some episodes are fun, some episodes are light, some episodes are deep. But trust me, I know we as a community, we needed this one.
Yeah.
Because I see the things that we dealing with, even on in my personal life. I knew we had to have this one. So please bring your questions in so we could really get these questions answered and bring the healing that we need. Your question, trust me, somebody else got the same question you holding on to right now. So throw it in the super chat. And if you have not signed up for the giveaway for this incredible book, Her Soft Life, this guided journal, 90-day guided journal, make sure you sign up that giveaway link, because we are about to announce the winners in just a few. All right? It's happening here. What, just I'm going to kind of open this up here for you, because what are some of the things, or in your community, because you got a community of ladies that you help with this. What are some of the biggest things in your community that you see the ladies struggling with that you feel like we need to make sure we address while we're here? What are some of the biggest things the ladies with these mother wounds are really struggling with?
Number one showed up in the questions. Both of those questions were about setting boundaries.
Okay.
So how do I set a boundary with my mother?
Okay.
Right? That's a huge struggle, because we're often seen as disobedient when we disagree with our mother, when we have an opinion that's not the same as hers, right? So how do you set a boundary? How do you learn to trust yourself? Remember, that was the other Ms. Z. She was like, well, I want my mother's opinion. How do I trust myself? Because we're still taught like we don't know better. Like we're left as like a perpetual child. The daughter is, right? So how do I learn to trust myself? Another big one that people really miss out on is it seems like it's not a big deal, but it's a huge deal. And it's and it's linked to trusting myself. How do I make decisions, right? You cannot be successful in life if you're indecisive, right?
Well, wait, so being indecisive is linked to a mother wound?
Yeah, because you don't have a sense of trust. You don't trust yourself to make good decisions.
Is this why some of those ladies with the mother wounds may decide to lean on their mother financially, or to
and sometimes that is the crutch, because it's like how it took me a very long time to become financially stable. That's how it showed up for me. I did not make good decisions with money, and in my mind I would tell myself, and I believe I can't take care of myself.
Is that something your mother told you?
She didn't tell me I couldn't take care of myself, but she didn't allow me to make decisions for myself. And if it was different than a decision that she would make, then you can't do it. And she didn't allow me any independence to go out in the world and make choices. She didn't trust that I could make good friends. She didn't trust that I could pick out the right clothes to wear. She didn't trust that I would do what she told me to do. So if I say you got to be in the house at 11, I don't believe you're going to come in the house at 11, so you just can't go. So you don't even give me the opportunity to have integrity. You don't give me the opportunity to show maturity. So it runs in your mind subconsciously, well, I must not know how to take care of myself. And the things I want to do, she doesn't think these are good things that I should be doing. You know, I want to start my own business. She says, you better get you a good office job and stay in that job. You better work. And like, well, that's what she did. If I do something else, then what am I going to do? So learning to trust yourself and make good. You remember, the mother wound is about a lack of autonomy. So it's all the ways you don't have autonomy in your life. They struggle with relationships, not just romantic relationships, but more than women saying, you know, I want to find a man. No, they struggle with, I don't form good friendships with other women because I don't trust other women.
You know, I hear a lot of women talk about that.
Oh my gosh, that's a big one.
Like a lot of them will even say, hey, I don't have female friends.
I don't have female friends.
I get along with men better.
Yeah.
I get it right because you've had a trigger and a betrayal from a woman, the woman that you love the most. And you haven't had a really communal relationship with another woman that's loving, that's caring, that's safe. So these are the things they talk about. They don't come in saying, well, I really want to, I'm trying to get a husband. How can I heal my mother wound so I can get a husband? They're like, no, I'm lonely. I don't have friends. I don't know how to ask anybody for help. I am burnt out completely because every day I show up as everybody wants me to show up. And I don't have anything for myself. And I don't even know how to stop doing it. I don't know how to stop being a superwoman. I don't know how to stop being strong. I don't know how to tell people no. These are like things you hear over and over again, especially if you have high achieving women. A lot of my clients are very successful. Success can be a trauma response, right? Because you have learned that approval comes through achievement. And so now you're at a place where I have gained all of these external credentials and I am so lonely. And it's not lonely for a man. In some of the early ways, they think, well, I want a relationship. But then they realize, wow, I don't even have a sense of community. People don't even know if I'm sick. I've been in the bed for 2 weeks and nobody has called me. Because you don't even know how to, build community with people where people know to check in on you.
Wow.
So how can you get to this last romantic relationship when you're not building other healthy relationships? And you need all of those things. So that's why when you were saying what to look for with a woman, if she doesn't have a healthy circle of friends,
yeah,
right? She could give you all her time, but that's not really healthy.
First of all, I just don't like when a woman say that I don't get along with women.
No, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
I can only get along with men.
Right.
It just mean a
Come
lot.
on now.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I say a lot of
it's really guarded. Is that really what you use for that?
That's what I think.
One more
That's
time.
what I think, though.
Really?
That's what I think.
I just think
that?
she's for the streets. That's what I think. When
But you could have. There are women. That's a huge
if
jump.
she say she don't have any female friends and she can only hang out with men, I just assume you hang around a lot of niggas and the top 10% or 20% of those dudes is having sex with you. That's what I think.
Interesting.
Because why wouldn't you? That's what I would think. Why wouldn't you be able to maintain relationships with other women? And what are you doing? What are you providing for these men? Like, what are you giving them for you to have all of these friendships with other men?
And the reality of it is,
and there are a lot of women who have. First of all, I want you to really be aware how many women are out here not having sex. Like lots of them.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I'm gonna let you be surprised on how many women are having sex. This is the thing, though.
Yeah, but you hear about the women who are having sex. You don't know how many people are quiet because they're quiet.
That's true.
You know who's loud because they're
Very
loud,
true.
but you don't know how many people are quiet because they're not saying anything. But you cannot trust other women and still not be promiscuous. Because there's really not a correlation necessarily, because you can have a lot of girlfriends and be promiscuous.
That's true.
So there's not really to say, okay, I don't have a lot of female friends. You might be somebody who you're not having sex with anybody. You might be the asexual friend. You might have a lot of guy friends. They're not even trying to have sex with you. You might be so emotionally shut down. You're the homie. You show up for everybody. You're not even in your sensualness or anything like that. You might work all the time. You might come off as masculine. It doesn't mean you're skeevy. Right.
See, you got to understand too, just naturally, and what we're open to, because a lot of the chat, they get upset when we, pretty much tell our initial thoughts. But
Right,
as you
absolutely.
gotta understand, as humans, guys,
Right,
we have natural biases that happen. Like literally, if a dude walk up to you and say, "Yeah, I got 2 baby mamas," you're gonna think something about this brother. Your first initial thought is gonna be something about what you think of him, and that's just naturally. We're
Right.
just honest
Well, it's not.
about where our thoughts are
No, and that's fine.
about it,
But
because
but
that's the
how
reality.
You,
of the
that's how you
situation.
create good dialogue. But it's really an implicit bias because it's based off of things you've experienced,
Right.
things you've seen,
100%.
or media, right? And well, this must be what this means. But it doesn't mean that. It's just what is in front of you. And whatever that you see, you're going to see more of. And whatever you believe, you're going to be shown more
Now I
evidence
do
of
know
that.
this. Not being able to have healthy relationships with women is just not healthy in general.
No, absolutely. No, I'm not saying
So-
that it's okay. But I'm just saying it doesn't mean that she's promiscuous.
Promiscuous.
That's
Yeah.
my only
Understood.
thing.
No, I
Yeah.
can 100% get that. That's just so concerning with me
Right.
when I see that happen. And
But it's so popular. But you have to understand that it's very easy to demonize a woman. It's very easy to throw around women are messy, women are catty, women can't be trusted, women talk too much shit. Like, it's such an easy thing. Women talk more shit about women than men talk about men.
Oh,
We don't have an allegiance to women, right? Because it goes back to the womb. There's not enough. So somebody's got to be on the outside, and I'm better than her, because we've all been judged so harshly as women. Men are not judged. Men get judged as adults. Are you a protector? Are you a provider? How much money you make? Do you got a 6-pack? How tall you are? Your judgment starts when you hit 16. I'll even say and I'm saying that because my son now, he's 5'11", and he says he's short. And I'm like,
Wow.
oh, they're already having the conversation in high school. You got to be 6 feet. He's 5'11" and buff. And I'm like, are you serious? So that's there. But girls are.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Girls are judged at 5 years old, 6 years old, 9 years old. And then as soon as a butt and a breast comes in, as soon as a period starts, she's floozy, she's a Jezebel, she fast, she's smart in the mouth, she has been sexualized. So women judge women very, very early on. So to say I don't have female friends almost sounds like something other people, I'm better than them. But that is the culture of how Black women parent Black girls. They parent them with this harsh critique, with this harsh judgment early on. And men don't get that. Men get judged later. Girls get judged very early on.
I can see that.
man, that honestly, no, that does make a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
can absolutely see that. Let's get those names ready, Ryan.
Okay, cool.
So we're going to go ahead. Y'all, listen, again, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull these names. I need y'all to go ahead in the description, guys. We went ahead and we put the link to the free giveaway that we are giving away tonight. So y'all go ahead and make sure y'all take advantage of that. Did we have any chats that we need to hit and give a shout out to?
No chats right
from
now.
the people. All right, so
But
my
I am
people.
pulling up these names though.
See, this is a really heavy conversation
It's
for
hard
the family tonight.
It is. There's so much shame around the conversation that making it public is a lot for a lot of people, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why when most people come into my community, the first thing they say is, "I thought I was the only person," or I get a lot of DMs and emails of people who won't even put a comment under an IG post because they're afraid somebody's going to see it. But when they come into my DMs or they email me and they tell me their whole life story, what their mother did and what they've been struggling with and all these things that are going on. But it's really the cardinal sin to talk against your mother. And even to admit that you don't have a loving relationship with your mother because it makes you feel broken. It's like, well, damn, if I let people know that my mother doesn't love me, no one will love me. And I'm trying to prove I'm a good person. Because if your mother doesn't, if you say you got a problem with your mother, most people gonna say, what did you do wrong?
Absolutely.
What did you do?
Wow.
You're the problem. And you are already struggling with feeling judged. So most people, it takes a lot A lot of people are struggling with it, but to come out and say something about it is something different. And also to make a change, because some people have the pebble in their shoe of having a mother wound, having a challenging relationship with their mother, but they know they're not committed to doing the work to do the healing. Because who you have to become to do that is you got to become a grown-ass woman. You have to then become fully responsible for yourself, and not everybody wants that.
Man, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I'm glad you breaking it down to us, and because I think it's important too, because I think men in particular can be so critical and judgmental that when women communicate certain things, they communicate it with right timing, and they know how to communicate it, so that way you can kind of talk a guy off the ledge a little bit. Because I think some certain things they just come off, and it's like I already have put you in a category.
Right, absolutely.
We already move quick with women and putting them in a category.
Right.
So you say certain things, it's like it could be a wrap.
Right, and I think, and sometimes you do need to move quickly, right?
Right.
But I think if we also look at our own wounds and the ways we have fallen short, we can have more compassion for a person. And even if you don't move forward with them, they don't have to be left with a bad taste in their mouth. They don't have to feel like I don't have value. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what, you're a nice person. We're probably not in the same place, but I do hope you find what you need and who you want, you know? And you can still leave a person like, wow, that wasn't rejection. That was just something. And some people might not. Some people might still take it as rejection. You can't really fault yourself for that, right?
Right.
But being able to see that, and also seeing your own mother as a person, right? That's why I say a lot of people, and I'm gonna say Black men, they see their mother, and I said this before, as a mother. They don't see her as a whole person, right? But if she was dating someone else might be like, hell no, I'm not fooling with that. But you may not know any of those things because you only see how she presents herself to you.
No, you're right. I just got to pull back on some of the ways that I think, because I'm even thinking about my mom, because I'm dealing with this dynamic between my mother and my grandma, and I've said certain things to my mom, like me thinking I am teaching her something, telling her how she need to take care of my grandma. Like, hey, you don't need to talk to my grandma like that. Ooh. Hey, you need to do like this. Hey, and I made the comment the other day. I can't remember what I said, but I remember my mom, she looked at me and she said, why wouldn't I do that for my mama? And I get what she was saying. She was pissed. I get what she was saying, but in my mind, I look at my grandma as this elderly, tender figure. So
can do no harm.
Can do no wrong.
So good to you.
So good. Like she done did, because to me, it's like I would not be where I'm at without my grandma. Right. That's how I think of it. Because ever since I was 13, I came from an abusive household. Our house got foreclosed on. My stepdad literally, he came over one day when we was at school. My mom's at work, ripped out every piece of furniture, took the dog, and we had to move with grandma. And ever since then, nobody getting their ass beat, no arguments that I'm hearing about, no abuse. You're right. That's how I look at my grandma. Yeah. So, and I communicate to my mom that way, that you need to be doing this for mom and these things. And I really haven't considered all the things that she might be facing and going through with dealing with the situation. You
don't know what it was like when your mother was 16.
Right.
You don't know what she said to your mother. Like, you don't know. Like, everybody has their own. That's why you have to look at people as people. And you have to be like, oh, that's none of my business, because I don't know what that relationship is.
Right.
And you can be a person and be perceived differently by everybody you come into contact with, and all of those things can be true, right? And imagine, and I don't know the situation in your household, right? But how hard do you think it is for a daughter to speak ill to their mother? Like, what has happened? Unless because basically, if nothing has happened, then it's like, my mother must be crazy.
Right,
she's not crazy. And there's nothing worse than being hurt and somebody thinking you're crazy, because then they don't see your lived experience, right? Because maybe all she needs is to know that's fucked up what she did. I don't know what she did, but I'm sorry that she did it. I will tell you, when I wrote my book, Fuck That Cape, 5 years ago, I have an older brother, and we had a really strained relationship, right? I saw I had my mother on a pedestal, right? She could do no wrong. He saw my mother very differently, and we were always at odds with that. And he had my father on a pedestal, and I thought my father was on some bullshit, right? And when I wrote my book, he read it, and I didn't even know, because we had fallen out at like Thanksgiving and weren't speaking. And he told me, you know, basically, he said, I apologize on their behalf because you didn't get the parents you should have gotten.
Wow.
And it completely changed our dynamic because he saw me. All of a sudden, you saw me as a person. I didn't have to explain what happened, but even somebody seeing another person, because trauma is not what happens. Trauma is the lack of a witness. So how can you be your mother's witness to her pain and acknowledge it? I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry. Whatever she did, whatever she said, I'm sorry. And I know you doing the best you can right now, because I know how loving and giving and kind you are. So for this to be the dynamic between y'all, something has went on, and I know it's hard for you right now, and you're looking at possibly having to continue this for another decade, another 15 years. And you wanted something different for your life. I apologize for that you have to go through this, like that. This is your lot in life. You had to take this L, and you've had to take it alone. That changes everything. That can release the whole pressure. Because it's like, damn, all I ever wanted was somebody to see my perspective. I can deal with her now because she's harmless. But you're looking at your mother the age she is now. But the pain is showing up is the 16-year-old her.
Exactly.
The 9-year-old her. The 5-year-old her. That's who you have to speak to. And that's what the healing is about. It's about healing that inner child. And you can help her with that without sitting down with, tell me what happened, just with the compassion of, I'm sorry. Whatever happened, I'm sorry it happened to you. I'm sorry you're going through that. You don't deserve that. And this must be really hard to have to extend yourself this way to someone that you didn't get it from.
I never considered that. I literally would think, in my mind, I would never say this, but I would think, you too old for this shit. That's what I would think.
Right.
And it's extremely insensitive.
Right, yeah. But then what is it like to tell somebody you shouldn't be acting like this? It's like, well, do you think I want to be like this?
Exactly, right.
So there must be something. There has to be something behind that, right? And it's the younger her, because you don't know what their dynamic was growing up.
Right.
Because she's a whole different person. There are people who looked at my grandfather as a monster, and then the grandkids came around and was like, he was the best. Wow. He was the best. You got but the older grandkids was like, he was a monster. The young grandkids, like, oh my God, we go to his house and do. All of those things can be true.
You know, it's so crazy because I found, especially when you talk about dealing with our family, when you really start understanding what your parents have been through, like what they went through, I found that to be one of the best ways to have empathy.
Absolutely.
For them.
Yeah.
Because again, like you said, we, can tend to look at our parents of what they should have did for us, and, all the things how they should have performed as parents for us. But when you really consider and hear their story, that just changes so much, because even me, and when I'm even thinking about mine as you talk, my mom had me at, 16. So I grew up with my mom.
Right.
So I seen her through all the archetypes of her womanhood, as she's evolved. And where she is now is such an incredible place where my mom is now today. Just even seeing her, thinking about it, like, I'd be like, wow. I tell her that all the time. I'll be like, Ma, you came a long way.
Right, yeah.
I even told him one day, I think I was talking to him and Delano, and I was like, bro, like, it's really cool how your family hangs out and like how y'all spend time together. And Ty was like, bro, it was not always like that.
I'd be like, you don't understand what my household
So let me ask you
was
this.
like.
So let me ask you this. Your mother at 27.
27. I like to think about my age. Where was I? I was like, okay, that's me like 10, 11. Okay, yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So her at 27, you come in, she's not your mother, you're 27. Would you, and if she told you about her story and her life, would it be red flag, I'm not fooling with her? She's not your mother anymore.
If she was a woman I was dating?
That you met, yeah.
Absolutely.
Not knowing how she would turn out.
But if she told me her past?
Yeah. You would say, would that be a red flag for you? I had my baby at 16. We're going through this and that. This isn't your mother. This is a woman you meet. She's 20, 26.
Absolutely.
You would absolutely what? Is a red flag?
That would be a red flag. You said would it be a red
yeah.
flag? Yeah, absolutely.
But so do you think she would be worth the time? And you see how she's grown now, who she is.
Okay. So here's the thing. First of all, I'm not dating no woman with kids anyway, so it's just that's already off the table for me.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's just not even something I'll be open to. But as it relates to, like, from on a level of humanity, would I, like, could I empathize with her?
No, not empathize, but you wouldn't date her. You wouldn't date your mother. Okay.
No. And see, the thing, I think that's okay. Like, I think, you know, my mom came up in a situation. Right. My grandma was a matriarch, like a true matriarch. I mean, when I tell you you talking about a strong black woman, like feared by men, strong, like she'll whoop on a man's ass. Like she was like, yeah, like that, and like respected. I'm talking about had the gold tooth, had one gold tooth. Like, do not mess with Delia was her name. And, you know, she came up and raised my mom in the best of environment she could in Brownsville, Brooklyn, which was a pretty crazy war zone at the time. A super unstable grandfather I had, which was her father, probably working on a new kid right now, maybe kid 15, 16. You know, he's probably still got a gold chain and a do-rag on, macking up on a chick right now, you know. So so my mom is a product of that, which when you look at the situation and the tools she had to create myself, my brother, my sister, to be in the place she's at, she did incredibly well with what was given to her. But as a kid, and even as an adult, sometimes you don't know what was given to her. You just see all the things you lacked, all the problems she brought you, all the things she didn't perform on, all the places she might have neglected you in times she might have neglected you. And it was times like, especially when the divorce happened, because we had a divorce in our household. And I remember thinking that was an incredibly selfish decision for my mom. But I remember my mom saying it. She was like, sometimes, Ty, like, you just have to really preserve yourself. And I understood that. Right. Like, in my mature, and first of all, I'm so thankful she made that decision, because the place that she's in now, you know, Miss Delaney, you know, what do I call Mr. Lonnie? The new pops, you know, incredible, you know, add to the family, you know, to her, and how he's been such an incredible job, you know, helping and being a part of her growth journey. You know, it's incredible. And I feel like she's passed me the baton now to do it even better. Right. So that's the goal of a parent. I don't think it's my job to date who my mom was. Right. You know, I think it's my job to give me everything she got, and I take this thing to the next level. Gotcha. But, you know, I'm again, man, much love and understanding. Once I understood what she went through, I said, you know what, Mom? Whatever I had feeling about you is gone. I completely forgive you. Because thank God I did not have your hand.
Right, yeah. And she's grown. I think that counts too. Because if you have somebody who hasn't grown, then some of that trauma kind of stays in the present tense. But it sounds like the person she is now, you all are able to have a more loving, healthy relationship.
Most definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
100% most definitely. And let's get some more loving and healthy relationships, because are we ready to announce the 5 giveaway winners?
I am absolutely ready. Y'all
Let's
ready?
Do it!
Okay. I am announcing our 5 winners of Jennifer's book, Her Soft Life. Marcia Augustine, Andrea Brown, Midris Tolentino,
Another one.
Jasmine Wilder, Janice Dumas. That's 5.
That's it?
That's 5.
Oh, man.
Damn.
There we go. Guys, those are the 5 winners tonight, y'all. So,
So
if you're in the
guys,
chat, make
yep.
sure you show out.
And this book is also available on Amazon. So if you weren't one of the winners, you can go on Amazon and find it.
So click the link, guys, in the description so you can get this book on Amazon in case you weren't one of the 5 lucky winners. And guys, all of my winners, I am going to email you guys between tonight and let's just say tomorrow. And all you got to do, send over your shipping address, and we'll get this book out to you this week.
And we got some even more special, because the good news is, if you want something a little bit more hands-on, that's how I am. I like hands-on programs. I like to be able to talk, touch, and feel what I'm dealing with. And you want something on top of the book, Jennifer has brought and is doing something incredible for the first time ever.
Yes.
All right? We got an intensive. I'm super excited to bring to y'all, because, listen, we need some healing, fam. So please, Jennifer, let the people know how we healing the people.
So right now I have a group intensive. It's called Resolve. It's a 5-week hands-on weekly call that we take, and I take you through this process of healing your mother wound and help you build a very powerful, sustainable toolkit in healing the relationship you have with yourself. So you can have more peace, you can have more love, you can have more joy in your life. So you can learn to trust yourself, and so you can move on from whatever pain you've experienced because of the relationship with your mother. And it's called Resolve, and I am looking for women who are ready to do the work.
Bam! There you have it. And the link, guys.
That was loud. I like that. I'm about
It's
to
in the
post that link.
description.
Yep, it's in the description. I'm posting it in the chat right now.
Guys, so go ahead. Listen, take this seriously, y'all. We try to really bring you guys people, resources, opportunities for you guys to be able to heal and get to the next level, because that's really what it's going to take for all of us, our entire community. We got a lot of healing to do. We got a lot of curses to break. We got a lot of things that we got to make sure it does not need to get passed on and taken on to the next generation. And I appreciate everybody that stuck into this conversation, because this was a heavy one, y'all. This is like one of those topics and conversations you can easily be triggered. You can easily be like, oh, hell no. Let me put on something funny. Let me laugh a little bit, because these kind of conversations can even sting while you listen.
Right.
As you really reflect, because it's these conversations that really have you reflect on those relationships that you have. Even as I hear you talking to Ryan, sometimes I was zoning out in the conversation, thinking about all my shit.
Yeah.
It's very easy to happen. So
And you can't run away from it. It's tough.
man, you can run away from it. And a lot of us do try our best to run away from it.
And avoid it at all costs. Cause
Yes.
and I know the feeling too, because because the home is supposed to be a charging station.
Right.
And for a lot of us, we go and we don't get charged. If
don't get
anything, we
charged.
get depleted.
You get depleted, right?
yeah.
You send it back out into the world with your
right.
battery on 5%.
Exactly, which is
Right.
why we try to avoid those conversations. We try to avoid showing up. And man, I'm just learning the hard way that you just really can't do that.
No,
You
yeah.
have to face it.
Yeah.
And really dig in deep, because you are impacted by it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it builds so much character in you, right? So imagine being able to make this type of transition and pick this up and run with it 30 years from now, who you'll be able to guide, who you'll be able to lead, like what you'll have in your toolkit, because people are going to go through things, and then you're able to recognize things. Once you really get this, you can look at somebody and be like, oh, they're hurting. Oh, that's something. Oh, okay. What is the best way to show up in that way, so you can have a resolution, not so I can be right, but so there can be a real resolution. This is PhD level work, when you start to really get into personal development and your own growth. And it is going to help you in every area of your life,
That's the thing that we forget, because family does literally impact every area of your life.
Of your
Every single one.
life. It that tribe, how you show up in that tribe, where you are in that pecking order, that's what you take out into the world. You're either running from it and you're like, oh, well, I'm down on the totem pole. I want to be the big guy on the totem pole. So now you're performing, you know, but if you can come to a healthy equilibrium here with yourself, then you can maintain that when you go out into the world. And you're like, I like who I am in all these spaces. I have integrity at home. I have compassion at home. I have leadership at home. When I go out and I meet people, whether it be at work and I'm, you know, whatever it is, I can take all of that with me. And the better you become at doing that, the better you become at doing it.
Bam. There you have it, family. We actually got one more super chat that we can go ahead and take care of. Shout out to my girl, Kathy Hardney.
Let me read that one. We got, your G-Mon saved you like my G-Mon saved me. Shout out to Kathy Hardney. But when you went to school, your mama was everything but a child of God. And I told you not to get with that ninja. Now you got to live with me. Wait, what?
Wait,
I told you.
wait, is she talking to you?
Oh, no, I'm starting to
Hey, you better, hey, Ryan got his family to chat.
right. Hold
on, wait.
Your G-Mon saved you like my G-Mon saved me. But when you went to school, your mama was everything but a child of God. And I told you not to get with that ninja. Now you got to live with me. Forgiveness is needed. That's funny.
So
Wow.
is that
She
the
was venting.
grandmother?
Yeah, your grandma.
I
The
think that's
grandmother was talking bad to the mother, and
Right.
she got with a man,
Right.
and now you got to move back in with me.
Oh,
That's
the-
what she's saying. I told you
Oh.
not to get with him, and now here you are, and you got to come back and eat that. That's what she's saying.
Oh,
you know?
I could imagine that.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I could imagine that. That's,
Okay. Yeah, Kathy, this episode's for you, baby.
Kathy living it out. She's like, that was like a live scene from her
It was.
childhood.
It was.
Yeah,
It was.
yeah.
It was. It was a whole script.
It was.
It was a whole
It was.
script.
I get it,
Wow.
though. I get it.
Shout out to you, Kathy. Let me tell you, HI family, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I'm very excited that you made it this far. I need you to go ahead and make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button. And I know you always want to ask us, how do I contribute? Here are all the incredible ways that you can contribute to the platform. It's right here in front of you. What I want you to know as well, the Hardly in Love card is an incredible way to not just contribute to the platform, but contribute to your own personal lives, whether you connecting with your family, you connecting with your friends. I've seen them one-on-one style, and I've seen it group chat style. But however, those are also in the description here for you. Y'all know we going back live again Wednesday night. I got two powerful sisters. I'm gonna surprise y'all with this one, but I got two powerful sisters that we had come. They've never been together. They've never spoke together. And they coming here and talking about why and how they denounce their sororities and so many other things. So this one's going to get a little spicy on Wednesday. We're going to have a really great time. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button so y'all can continuously see every time we go live, and you can be a part of the chat. If you're watching the replay, I still love you, but you already know how we do it. Hardly initiated. We are out.